are being linked to Kansas City at this point in time. But you guys can hit us up on 7965. Video stream up and running as well. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. That way, it's easy. Right when you go to YouTube, you see the show right there on the front page, whether it's Cody and Gold, whether it's The Drive, whether it's Fesco and Dusty. Make sure you subscribe. That way, it makes it easy for you to watch the show as well. I want to start with the wide receiver situation, though, right out of the gate, because Hollywood Brown is back on a one-year deal. We got some more details, actually, in the last half hour on this from Albert Breer. But 1 year up to $11 million, which is really similar to the deal he was just on in Kansas City. Ultimately, it's 1 year, $6.85 million. That's what's on the books. And then there's incentives that can get it to 11. $3 million signing bonus. The base salary, 3.3. And then he's got about $500,000 worth of workout / per game roster bonuses. And then depending on if he achieves certain incentives, $4 more million. Clearly tells you a multi-year deal was not going to be available for him because he didn't play that many games this past year due to the injury. I really like the move just because it's somebody that was here. He has the opportunity, if you're him, to go and earn yourself a multi-year deal after this. And it gives them some insurance based off of what the availability may or may not be for Rashee Rice heading into this 2025 season. So I'm not saying it's like the greatest move ever, but 1 year, basically $6 to $7 million bucks. Come on now. Absolutely. I think it makes a ton of sense.
I told you from the beginning I was fine with other veteran available options on the market. But again, I'm not offended by this deal. It's a $6 million deal. It's a 1 year deal. There are very few, I would say, bad 1 year deals. I question maybe one the Chargers just made, but for the most part, I think there are very few bad 1 year deals that go in the NFL. This one, it's $11 million if everything goes right. He gets all the yards. He gets all the catches. He wins the Super Bowl. Okay, fine. At that point, as you know, I am happy to pay that price, and part of that money will go into future years, as you know, because the way that works is that if they're not likely to be earned, which some just fall in that category, they're not likely to pay it anyway. It's funny timing, and we can talk about Worthy in a minute, because the initial thought was, did they just sign him out of... Like maybe they were talking to him, but then they're like, we got to get this deal done now, because of all the stuff that happened surrounding Xavier Worthy this weekend. It's like, do we got to get this done like right now? But I'll say that's not like a panic price. That's let's get the, you know what? Maybe we do go ahead and get the deal done today, but not necessarily at a price point that I thought was completely unfair, if that makes sense. He's a fine fit. I'm curious to at least see how a full season of Hollywood Brown works, but I'm not expecting more than 650 yards. Just based on the people in the offense, the people who need to get offense outside of that, and based on his general injury history. I'm not expecting a full 17 games out of Hollywood Brown.
Right. I go back to August in training camp when we saw what that offense looked like then, and we never saw it really at all during the season. You know, it was Worthy down the field consistently at training camp. It was Hollywood Brown down the field consistently in St. Joe. That's still like the dream, right? I think for Chiefs fans is that we saw it, and where did that disappear? And some of it was the offensive line play and why they're in need of a left tackle as we sit today. And maybe today's the day they go and find I don't know if it's a left tackle of the future per se, but at least somebody to play left tackle for them in 2025.
I sure hope they find that today.
That could happen today, maybe in the next hour, as a matter of fact. But Hollywood Brown gives them the insurance I mentioned on the Rice situation, and it also is someone that I deep down think we saw some glimpses in the very limited action of like, oh, I can see why they were excited. Like, oh, the thought of having Kelsey and Brown and Worthy and Rice on the field at the same time, that can work. That sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe we'll be fortunate enough to see that. I don't know if it'll be week one of the season, but at some point this year, I would be fascinated to see what does that look like, because you can see why they were excited about it.
Yeah.
And they get them
but
back.
Also, it's like such a small sample. It's like, yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Well, I just mean when you look at how they approached last offseason and what we saw at training camp, you're like, oh, I can see why they're excited about it.
Yeah.
They got to see it this year, though. And for Hollywood Brown, it's another year where the player's extremely motivated because he's young enough that if he does have, even if it's a 700 to 800-yard season, Cody, he will then probably get a multi-year deal somewhere else. That was the thought going into last year. The injury completely ruined the plan. It's why he's back. And look, if he gets to 11, it means he had a great year. Otherwise, it's $6.8 million in the grand scheme of things. No problem with that as well. But you alluded to why maybe there was even more urgency to lock this thing down, because what a crazy and unfortunate, I'll call it 12 to 18 hours between Friday morning or Friday overnight, Friday into Saturday morning. And then by 5 o'clock on Saturday, the Xavier Worthy situation was resolved. We all know by now what we're discussing and referencing down in Georgetown, Texas, which is just north of Austin, Texas, where he was arrested under suspicion of assault involving strangulation. That was the accusation. And then 8 hours later, he was released and there was no charges filed, and it became pretty evident that the claim from a family member, I think we all know at this point who that was, was not accurate, was false, was a lie. And so to be in that situation, I feel terrible for Xavier Worthy, because all the people that were on social media retweeting the mugshot and all this stuff, those same people weren't retweeting later on in the day when it was evident that the charges were never going to come and that the case was dismissed, and that for it to be dropped just like that quickly, it's pretty telling. It tells you that how obvious it was that did not take place. I feel like I can say that confidently. For that to have ended that quickly.
I always leave some doubt because it could just be the person in there or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you have so little charging evidence that in 8 hours you're dropping the case. I mean, and I asked around, and some people who are lawyers and stuff too. Yep. It's uncommon for just say no charges that fast. Not that they would not wait a couple of days or wait a few days or say no charges a week from now or anything else in between. But there's obviously a conflicting third person that gets mentioned in this case, who is that seems to be the sticking point of, okay, we're not pressing any charges here. You are free to go. What's crazy is this is still going to change outside fans' perspective of Xavier Worthy forever. They're going to accuse the Chiefs of all the other stuff, gross stuff that took place, money talks. Okay, relax. Lots of people get in legal trouble in the NFL, and those people are then charged with those things or pay civil penalties for those things. They don't get to just not be charged 8 hours later because they're on a rookie contract in the NFL. No, there's obviously enough evidence and their opinion to no longer charge this thing 8 hours after he was originally brought in, which is quick. Nothing to say. It's quick, really quick. There was about, how long did that last? That 8 hours, I was just okay, what are they going to do at wide receiver?
For sure.
You're just you're already honest, bring back Hollywood Brown right away, and then you're I guess, do they need to draft one in the early rounds?
We were texting, it wasn't so much that a reaction to presume that, what the legal situation was going to be, but would they have had a clearer picture? At the time, you're thinking, will they even have their answer on what's really going on by the time free agency opens up? And do you need, I was thinking, no matter what the end result is, do they need to pivot? Because they may not have the answers by the time the free agency could come and go.
It's going to be here in a day.
Yeah. Fortunately, it all got resolved so quickly, and the idea of needing to pivot's not there. But that from a football end, I was thinking, man, they're not going to have an answer. So they need to bring back Hollywood Brown for sure. And then, does this change how aggressive they are signing anybody else? Fortunately, this got resolved as quickly as it did. And as I said, I actually feel awful for Xavier Worthy in the entire situation, because as you said, the reaction that was out there, mainly outside of Kansas City, I would say, from so many people, of just one presuming guilt immediately, but also just some of the things that were said about him individually, and the fact that, I'm telling you, man, as you know, man, a lot of people that said what they said early in the day or retweeted stuff, they didn't go back and then correct when the information came out and it was that there was no charges or anything. And so you know what I mean? It's never the same one. If your mugshot was out there, Cody, that's out there forever. You know what I mean? That's what sucks.
Look, I went through I simply just retweeted the news when it came out and retweeted and I think shared with you guys in the group chat when the news had come out that they were not going to file charges.
Yeah, and if there's new evidence, obviously things change, but that's where it looks like it's at.
Obviously, these domestic disputes end up often in he said, she said, and charges, people pull back their statements and do like it's just a messy situation, and you would have just not liked to have to happen this weekend at all. And
Sure.
I don't, and now it just feels even murkier than it did before to me in a lot of ways because like everything moves so fast in a lot of directions. And so like it's just kind of a mess. And yeah, I did spend a huge chunk of Saturday thinking, okay, what are they going to do at wide receiver? Now on paper, it appears it'll be Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, pending his legal trouble, and Hollywood Brown as a trio. With that and Travis Kelce, you actually don't have to do anything else at wide receiver. You don't have to draft one. You don't have to get in the free agency market again, other than like the low-level deals for players we're talking about that are wide receiver 6 or 7.
Because somebody's got to fill out the roster, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
As in do something. I mean, you don't have to go get a qualified veteran on the market. It can be any other guy who has either gotten 500 yards in this league or 300 yards in this league. It can be as many Justin Watsons as you want across the board, and it can consistently be that, I will say. But like outside of that, you have to make no move. The draft one would only be because you're trying to replace Hollywood Brown in a year. And there's wide receivers in the market every year. I don't know if you saw DK Metcalf get traded, and that I feel like that means George Pickens is getting traded.
Right.
Which means there's a million other guys who have already been moved. Cooper Kupp's on the market. So like wide receivers are always available. So if you don't want to draft the next young guy because you have 2 right now in your system, yeah, that would appear to be the case. And right now, because of how quickly the charge will drop, I don't have any notion that like the NFL is going to suspend Xavier Worthy.
No, and I know domestic violence, they handle things differently, but considering the what looks like the end result, barring new evidence and something happening, yeah, this should be considered something that the league doesn't need to step in with. And I people on the text line were saying he still needs to be careful about who he's around and everything like that. Totally with you. Now I would say in this circumstance, not to get too much in the weeds on the details that was alleged and all this, but we're talking about it was his fiance at the time. So surround yourself with the right people. I don't know what to say. This wasn't just like him hanging out with a bad group of friends. So I don't know. Yes, surround yourself with the right people. But I'm sure in his mind, not that long ago, this was someone he was planning on marrying. So I'm not gonna, this one in particular, I'm not gonna even put on him as far as being in the wrong spot. If it's true that this was something that the details they have put out are true. I don't know what you were expecting from as far as hanging out. You're not supposed to be around your fiance.
Well, it's it is normally when people say that kind of thing, it's about like friends you had in childhood
Right.
who did not have your best interest in mind, and she might not. Who knows? I'm sure he'll just be like. Depending on how all this went down, I'm sure he'll be very careful with who he dates moving forward, right? I don't, and I'm sure she'll be very careful, like whatever it is. But like the relationship stuff, I don't view this as like a negative personality quirk of Worthy, like
No.
that he's hanging out with a rough crowd. That
No.
I just view that in a different, consistent. And typically I feel like that goes back to like childhood friends who have been with you a long time and it's harder to say no to, or people with massive influence who you end up hanging out with who end up doing that. Look, there was if it had continued, then you're like, okay, like we were just talking about with long-term extensions, like then our whole conversation on Friday comes back into play, which is, are you afraid to pay either of these wide receivers? And if you are, then what do you do? And how do you build your roster and all the other stuff that comes with it? It was a crazy weekend. The Chiefs,
nuts, dude.
Hollywood, Worthy, Nick Bolton.
It was nonstop.
It
was honestly nonstop.
Caglianone hit a homer yesterday. We got to get to that. There's like a million things that seemingly happened.
It really was. Nonstop. I'm sure your buddies were texting you as well, and we all get the alerts. And I spent way too much time on social media this weekend, more than I would like, because it was like constant. And someone would send you a link to this, and you'd be like, so then you're reacting and texting them about it. And 10 minutes later, Josh Allen's getting a mega extension, and then you're like, oh, what does this mean for Mahomes? People are texting you. It's just. It's fun, right? Like, that's why we love it. Not the legal stuff, but you know what I'm saying. The other news, right? That's what we love. We love being in it. And today, here in about 45 minutes or whatever, it's going to get crazier in the NFL. But just so much happened. And then we don't talk NBA on this show, but the NBA had plenty of stuff going on with LeBron stuff from Thursday night carrying over into Friday, and unbelievable in terms of content from
if you
the
just
weekend.
wanted, if you work a national radio show today, you're probably fine. I wouldn't even know where to start on the NFL in, not to mention like the impact. Like, one of the most interesting things I feel like that happened this weekend and then again today, Gold, is relative to how some of these contract extensions impact Kansas City. And we probably won't get to that angle today, but like what J.C. Horn getting a massive contract from the Panthers does to Trent McDuffie's deal, what Josh Allen's contract does to Patrick Mahomes' deal. Not to mention, or just like, does Devontae Adams fit with the Rams? We'll get to some of this stuff I know later on in the show. It's just like, it was kind of a fascinating end. I felt like the Chiefs were one of the busiest teams, even as a result of that. I will say, just quickly, because we got a lot of Chiefs and Royals to get to, has Cincinnati even made a move? Are they the quietest team in free agency?
They have. They've made a move.
Who was it?
Well, they made a couple moves.
Okay.
Tanner Hudson, Cody Ford, Mike Gesicki, doing a lot of what other teams
So they just
are doing.
re-signed both of their tight ends?
Yeah, and then guard Tony Ford.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious. I hadn't seen them really pop up on the market yet.
They are, Cody, they are the equivalent of if us three are playing Skippo, or I'm sorry, not Skippo, Uno, and I'm getting skipped all the time, or as soon as it's about to be my turn, Gold hits me with a reverse card, and I still can't go, and I'm just waiting for my turn. That's what it's like being a Bengals fan. Is instead of seeing the Commanders or Falcons or Panthers or Chiefs, when are the Bengals going to be in some sort of big news? We're just waiting.
I can't believe they just haven't re-signed somebody. To this point, every other team in the NFL has re-signed somebody.
At least somebody more of note than Mike Gesicki. Yeah.
You must have been really excited about the Hollywood Brown deal. This is the one you've been asking for essentially from jump. What are your honest to God yardage expectations for him?
I'm going to assume that Rice is missing some games, so I think that really bumps it up. I think he has a chance to be 750 to 800 next year. That's where I would put, knowing that, like we've discussed, there's a real chance that he doesn't make it through all 17 games. That's what the history would tell us, unfortunately, about his health. I do think this last one was a little fluky. But yeah, the chance of him playing in all 17 is probably pretty slim. But if you go into week one and it's Hollywood Brown, Worthy, and Kelsey, because maybe the Rice suspension is already starting, I think that bodes really well for his production. Because I thought we saw some flashes, the chemistry between him and Mahomes. So, yeah, I'll say, I don't know what the Vegas over-under will be. It'll probably be in the 600 to high fives. I would say 700, though. Like, if you told me his over-under was set at 580, if Vegas had his over-under at 580 yards for Brown, I would take the over. It sounds like you would just stay away, maybe, at
I'd
580?
probably just stay away.
Okay.
I think he's like a 550, 600-yard receiver, probably. Mostly because in the offense last year where I thought he could be, and I was at like 750 last year, as you know. Now there's even more competition because a full year of Xavier Worthy as a full-time starter. So he can't just he's not going to leap past him. I don't think he's going to leap past Travis Kelce. For every game Rashee Rice plays, I think he's above him. So we're talking about a number 4 wide receiver, a number 3 wide receiver for 4 to 6 games is I think what you and I still think the Rashee Rice suspension probably will come in at. It's one of those bets I almost just wouldn't make from that perspective, Gold, because I'd be too afraid. I wouldn't want to make the bet until I knew whether or not Rashee Rice was suspended, because if for some reason he just never got suspended, because none of this seems to happen, but it's just like
because Gold, you said you think Kelsey gets 750 to 850, if I remember correctly, that range. Hollywood gets 700-ish. How many let's say Rashee gets suspended 6 games.
Yeah.
Do you think he gets to, is that about the same 750-ish?
For Worthy? No, I think Worthy's numbers are going up.
For Rashee, if he gets suspended, like amidst the suspension, would you stay 750, 800 again?
If he only plays in 12 games, then yeah, he's probably in that 600 to 800 range as well. If he only plays 12, we just don't know what
I think he's coming off the injury too. I'd probably peg him in for about 1,100 yards total.
Okay, so you do think
if he played a full season,
okay.
like 1,150 total, if he played 17 games. So
the only reason I'm just thinking of if Mahomes throws 3,300 yards, which to me that would seem like a low number anyways, but if he throws 3,300, you're at 15 with Hollywood and Kelsey, and then obviously him spreading it out a little bit more.
So I guess I'd have Rice at around 900. 13 games at 67 yards a game, which is about an 1,150 yard season, would be 879. Okay. So if you're making me ballpark it right now, not knowing the suspension, assuming he played 13 games, there's only a 4-game suspension, I'd probably have him around 900.
750, 7-ish hundred for Hollywood would mean he's getting a decent target share still. Like I don't know what his target share was last year, but I think
it wasn't bad. When he was in,
it seemed like he wasn't getting, even when he wasn't, like it was early on, and then he would kind of fade away throughout the game. Of course, totally different circumstances with Rashee not being involved in all those other things, of course, as well.
But yeah, I am glad he's back. I think it's a smart move financially all the way around. I think it benefits both parties. That's why the deal ultimately happens. Coming up in about 10 minutes, the Chiefs, of course, handed out some money to Nick Bolton this week in an extension. We'll talk about the reaction to that, the fallout, and what it means for that position, the draft, and just how the how the Chiefs, I saw Jack Caglianone's home run again come across my timeline as I was talking. We will get to that,
He hit
how
that
the
very
Chiefs
hard.
are building their roster. And yes, we will talk about Jack Caglianone next half hour. I promise you that. We'll hear the crack of that bat again because
The call's really good on it.
Yeah.
We'll play it. It's really good from Ryan Lefevre because it does stand out. But we had fun out at Kelly's. We did want to say thank you to everybody who showed up to Kelly's Friday night for the listener event. Maybe something we can do down the road again. We'll see. Depends on if you keep listening to the show, to be frank. But yeah, we invited you all out to have some drinks. We said the tab was good until it was gone. We had $1,100 to spend. It made it to like 9 o'clock, which I thought was pretty good. Honestly, the bartender was like, people don't think about how hard it is to spend it. Because, like
nobody
people
was
getting
ordering
$4. No, people getting $4 beers at a time. It takes a little while to get to $1,100. We eventually got there. Everyone seemed to have a good time. We posted some photos on social media. It was a great crowd.
Yeah, it was a great turn. Did you Irish goodbye us or whatever, Drew?
Yeah, I didn't see Drew leave.
I said, hey, I'm headed out.
Yeah, you said bye.
Drew, you were there, and then you just.
Oh wait, he did say bye to me.
I was right next to your. I was right next
He
to
said
your
bye to
wife,
me.
and I said, "I'm
Did he
gonna
say
head
bye to
out."
you?
He did not.
It was a quick one. He said, "I'm gonna head out." I said, "Okay."
What time did you leave? I left at 10.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
9. I want to guess 9:30.
Did you have the final round with everybody? I guess that's how I can know the timeline.
Did you?
I had the fireball shot, the one final
yeah.
fireball shot. I was
So he
there.
was there till the end.
I was there.
He did an Irish goodbye.
That was it. He was done at that point.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
well,
No, it was a fun time.
I did. I felt bad because obviously, we're talking to a bunch of different people.
I was trying to talk to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Austin was waiting for me. Shout out to Austin.
Did you get the
for
racing
the wheel?
wheel?
Yes. Yeah, he got the wheel and everything. I felt really bad because there was a moment in time where he came up and talked to me. I was like, he was like, "Do you know when you're about to head out?" I was like, "I'm not exactly sure." That was maybe at 8:30. So it was like 9:30.
I figured you guys did this earlier in the night.
No. We did it.
Yeah, they were nice enough to drive all the way up from Burlington. His wife,
shout out to-
who
yeah.
I believe she said she's 8 months pregnant. What
Hour
a
and a
trooper.
half,
She
I think.
came all the way
Yeah.
up to Kansas City.
Major shout out
all
to
that.
them.
So yeah, shout out to everybody that came out. We did have a good time. It was a nice night in Westport, and it was good to meet some people. Many familiar faces, but there's a couple of you we've never met before, which is always kind of cool. So
It was a real. I mean, how many people do you think showed up? Any idea? At its maximum, 50, 60?
ish.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah,
Feels
that top
right.
the room up top was pretty full at times. So
I mean, I'll say this.
Our picture certainly showed.
Yeah, it looks
I would
like a
say.
lot.
Yeah.
I think it's like capacity's 100 up there, and it felt pretty full most of the time. So that's got to be, maybe we were a little higher than I thought. The one thing, so like we had the bar, they gave us it till 9:30 or whatever. We're all hanging out, and then like they opened up the upstairs to everybody.
yeah, I noticed there was some people like there's no way these.
so-
you could just tell like there was like they looked like they were 23-year-olds. Like
That's
they all of a sudden showed
that's
up
what
late.
got me. Once the tab cleared, they opened up a door so anyone could come up there, and I immediately felt like the oldest person who has ever existed. I felt 90 years old in about 30 minutes. There were people dancing downstairs. I'm like, oh God, I gotta get the hell out of here.
Well, there was
I'm so
downstairs for sure, but I'm even saying
No,
like,
upstairs, it got young.
all of a sudden there was
did.
like a group of I don't know like 7 to 10 like guys that showed up. I'm like, there's no way they're listeners. They're just to be honest with the situation. They were like 22, 23, and you could just tell they didn't know, they weren't talking to anybody else. But yeah, I hadn't been to Kelly's in a long time.
It was really funny. So Rye was there, and I forget her husband's name, but
And she did, for those that don't know, she's who bleached Drew's hair.
Yes, yep. She gave me the haircut and bleached my hair. She goes, "Wow, you still got the blonde up there." I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "It might be time to."
I think they were
Similar-
hinting that you should go ahead and get that thing
Yeah,
cut.
similar to what you guys have said as well, which it's going to happen.
And for the second time
At Kelly's.
For whatever reason, whenever we're there, someone comes up to me and says, "Oh, is that your dad over there or your mom?" It wasn't the same as like 3 years ago when our friends True Green Thumb and his wife
is still a running
were
joke,
confused
yeah.
as my parents. But this was a different listener thought another listener was my dad. I don't know why it always happens there.
I just like tall, kind of like he's kind of tall and skinny, and they're like, must be Alex's dad. Like, there's other tall, skinny people in this world. Like, they do exist.
It was funny. No, my parents were not there.
I don't know how many times people are always just thinking your parents show up to stuff.
I don't
they think
know
you have
why.
really supportive
I
parents.
guess
That's
so.
what it is.
I guess so. This one was
Would you
funny.
have wanted your mom to come to something like that?
No, I don't need them around for that. No, not an event like that. What
What about like I had one sibling.
Siblings different. Yeah, I think sibling would be different, but you wouldn't want your parents.
Siblings definitely different. I agree.
Yeah, I think if you're, if brother-in-law showed up or something like that, that's a little bit different. Up next, though, let's get back into the Chiefs. Nick Bolton signing a 3-year extension. We'll break that down a little bit. Plus, yeah, we will talk about Jack Caglianone. More and more excitement about his future next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Hey, Missouri sports fans, I've got good news. Underdog available to play in your state. Come on, we got a tournament in town this week. Basketball season means you want to place those. You want to make those selections, right? Who's going to score? Who's going to get the rebounds? This end of it is all available over at Underdog. It's one of the leading sports apps you can play now in your state, and you can just choose higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, points, assists, rebounds, mix and match. Do whatever you want over there at Underdog to kind of make those selections. And since you're going to be sitting down there watching some basketball anyway down in Power and Light, why not be able to make those selections on the Missouri side while you are down there? Download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with that promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, and claim your special offer today to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon your first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with your play. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength.
It's Century Roofing's 35th anniversary, and to celebrate, we're offering a free material upgrade with your roof replacement. Get a free upgrade from standard or premium shingles to impact-resistant shingles. These will boost your home's value and can lower your insurance premiums. Voted best in Johnson County 3 years in a row. We're KC-based and female-owned. Visit CenturyRoofingKC.com.
Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength.
Book now. This deal won't last long.
Hey, it's Gold once again telling you about the amazing staff at Max Motors. They're going to take care of you, and it's springtime. Why not spring into a brand new vehicle at Max Motors, like the new 2025 Ram 1500, up to 15% off MSRP plus 1.9% for 72 months. Stock number S250016. Must finance with dealer lender. Offer expires 4/1/25. Max Motors has the best financing options available with the max trade-in values in the Midwest. Max Motors, the easiest place to buy a car. MaxMotors.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Spring forward with real unlimited data from Straight Talk this tax season and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. So you can stream games during Mad March hours, check the weather for April showers, and watch gardening videos about May flowers. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 4/15/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires purchase of single line Gold Unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out.
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out.
Oh, Downy in the rinse straight.
Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
Taxes was taxing. Now taxes is relaxing when you file for free.
I can file for free? TurboTax Free Edition. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. I can file for free.
Now this is taxes. File for free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your maximum refund. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and student loan interest. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free.
What would you do if you could go back in time with the tap of a button?
Watch the ancient Egyptians build the pyramids?
How'd they do it?
Buy enough Bitcoin to purchase your very own private island.
Or maybe just skip the joke that flopped at the holiday party.
Unfortunately, we haven't figured out how to rewind time. But you can rewind live shows with the free Odyssey app.
Never miss your favorite sports talk again. To get started, download Odyssey and search for your station.
This report is brought to you by CareNow Urgent Care. Find one near you at carenow.com.
CareNow Urgent Care has 15 Kansas City area locations open 7 days a week. From injuries and illnesses to school and sports physicals, CareNow Urgent Care is here to help you feel better fast. Find a location near you at carenow.com and use our convenient web check-in today.
Opening day coverage is brought to you by Hollywood Casino. Stop by Hollywood Casino every Wednesday in March from 12 until 2 to register for your chance to win opening day tickets. Your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
All right, just getting started here on a Monday. We are 25 minutes away from the legal tampering period beginning in the NFL. That doesn't mean things haven't been going on. We're keeping an eye. Let you guys know if anything breaks, as well as, unfortunately, Twitter, X, as we call it these days, is down. Bad day.
Thanks a lot.
Bad day for X to be down. But we're keeping an eye on it. There's some other avenues. We'll let you guys know if anything breaks over the next couple of hours as well. But the Chiefs did make a signing over the weekend and retaining their linebacker, Nick Bolton, signing a 3-year, $45 million extension, $30 million guaranteed. So let's just simplify this. It's 2 years, $15 million a year. That's essentially what we're talking about here for Nick Bolton. And this is a player that's become so it's weird, become so polarizing, despite being a guy that was drafted by the organization, local ties, Mizzou, went to Mizzou. Obviously, was part of multiple rings with this organization. And yet, I feel like this is always a player that has mixed feelings from fans. And you're on one end or the other with this player. And there was a lot of reaction, and I don't know if this was just social media. You try to balance, like, is that really how the majority of the fan base feels, or is it just like the select few that are active on a Sunday on Twitter? There's a lot of people that weren't happy about this. And I think we have discussed the Chiefs build their roster differently than how a lot of GMs would build it, as in prioritizing frankly, money at guard and linebacker. And this is another,
safety,
and this is another example of that. Now, with that said, I think it's so obvious. We had Spags on the show. I keep referencing the interview from last February for a reason. The way Steve Spagnuolo talked about Nick Bolton then and has ever since, this is his dude. Steve Spagnuolo loves Nick Bolton. Andy Reid let Spags be the head coach of the defense. This setup right now with the organization, I think, allows far more coach decision with personnel than others, meaning Brett Veach is the GM, but Andy Reid doesn't answer to Brett Veach, right? And that's fine. It's obviously worked very well.
He's allowed to give an opinion on how he would like the roster to look.
And ultimately, if you're Brett Veach, you have to appease him as well. And I think both the Trey Smith franchise tag and likely extension and the extension here of Nick Bolton are in large part because the coaching staff has maybe a little more input in how they build the roster than what a GM would do. That's, to me, why this happened. And also, if Justin Reid does not resign, I think Steve Spagnuolo perhaps was worried about losing two of the guys he trusts the most to run the show, right? Green dot, of course, is Nick Bolton. But even in the secondary, Justin Reid is kind of orchestrating the whole
He's
back
handling
end.
the back end, yeah.
And I don't believe they wanted to go into next season losing both. This ensures they at least have Nick Bolton. I think that's why they were able to pony up the money for him.
I think it is okay to have a nuanced opinion. I do not understand the people who are taking to social media and be like, they're the dumbest organization in the world for paying Nick Bolton, because there was a lot. And I do mean a lot of that. And I'm assuming it's coming off the heels of the Super Bowl loss, where people on social media tend to be far, 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 far more negative, in my opinion, than real life traditionally.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't have done the deal. Like, it's not like the kind of thing that's going to send me into a panic. This is not the worst deal any team's ever signed because they give Nick Bolton $15 million a year. Had they put the deal in front of me when I had signed him? Nah, I'd probably been fine. I didn't think they were a particularly good coverage group. I thought they were kind of a medium-level linebacker group. I was looking for improvement. They're going to stay a medium-level linebacker group. They're not going to fundamentally change anything. It'll be Chanel, and it'll be Bolton, and it'll be Tranquil, and maybe it'll be one other guy in the draft in the 4th or 5th round, I hope. And, they'll kind of work it through in those avenues. I would have looked for a little bit of improvement. I think Nick Bolton is a somewhat limited player, but I know what you know, which is I am only allowed, I think, a certain level of criticism of what I deem to be somewhat backwards to the rest of the NFL roster building from what you said in the guard and the linebacker. But then also the results of that roster building has led to 3 consecutive Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins. And the single greatest 3-year run in NFL history, if you consider how far the third team went to the Super Bowl when no other team had done that in the middle of a 3-peat run. It is hard for me to make the justification to say this, well, then they can't sign Bolton. So, I'm kind of on the fence. I wouldn't personally do it. I think it's not going to burn them.
It's 2 years.
Probably moved on.
It's a 2-year deal, essentially. The third year probably doesn't happen, depending on how he performs. It's 2 years at $15 million a pop. The range that I know Nate Taylor, when he joined us, always speculated about, and from what he had heard in conversations going back weeks and weeks, was $12 to $17 million a year. They signed him at $15 million a year. So it makes sense. I think that was the market. They believed it. Nick Bolton believed it as well. They didn't pay him the very top end of it, 17 or higher. They paid him 15. They split the difference a little bit there from the 12 to 15, 12 to 17, 12 to $18 million range. So I understand some of the frustration, but I think, man, they did not want to, and they being Spags in particular, did not want to lose someone that they trust so much to make sure in a very complicated defensive scheme that everybody is aligned correctly. They trust him. He's still very young. He's very young, 25, right? And that's why you get the deal done. I think he's been a player, I think, overall that has been judged a little unfairly. He's not the greatest linebacker in the world. But I also think at times people discuss him because they didn't like the pick to begin with, like he's just this terrible liability. And I while his coverage skills are not the best, I think he brings on the leadership in plus run stopping. He's a thumper. That is good enough. They will be fine with this move. Could they have drafted a linebacker? Yeah, I still think there's a chance, as you mentioned.
I don't want it in like the second round anymore, like we were talking about, or I wanted like really Gay in a second round pick.
But go back to this year, even in the regular season. I can actually, it's not often you can do this with a linebacker that's not getting sacks. I can actually lay out 2 or 3, come to mind right this second, moments where Nick Bolton won them the game. The Atlanta Falcons is the one that first comes to mind, right? Where the fourth down stop, that seals the win for them, right? That's a huge moment this season at the time, you know, in the way the season was going early on. And that was it a Monday night game or Sunday night game in Atlanta. That was a massive, massive play, and he's done that multiple times. We all know the Super Bowl against the Eagles the first time, not this last one. The first time, he was as impactful as Patrick Mahomes in that game. So I think sometimes it's unfair how we discuss his impact. I think he's had a huge role in this defense, and ultimately, it's Spags' guy, and Spags gets some say.
That's what, and look, because he's been running defenses that have been championship caliber for multiple years in a row, again, there's only a certain level of argument you can make for it. Now, I've gone back through with this when I thought they had an older defense early on in the Spags tenure. I'm like, you should put some of the young guys in. You're making a mistake by choosing knowledge over youth. But that's not this question. He technically has both the knowledge and the youth. Someone said he turned 25 today. So he's not just a young 25. I mean, he just turned it.
Well, happy birthday to Nick Bolton. Nice little contract extension.
And so, like, yeah, the thing I like the best about the deal is they didn't tie themselves up for any amount of time that scares you. Look, if this ended up being like a 4-year extension, and I don't think that was ever really on the table, but if this ended up being a 4-year extension, well, then I'm concerned, right? Because then you got to get through at least 3 years. That's if you don't move a single dollar around. And off-ball linebackers don't typically make this. This is in between the guys who get the sacks and the guys who are worse than Nick Bolton. There's a $12.5 million extension for a linebacker last Friday. There's been $20 million a year extensions for more pass rush style linebackers to $25 million. He got 15. The price is, they didn't overpay, I guess, for Nick Bolton. And I also, this is like a small part of it, I still wonder if they would have had to cut more bait with more guys if it wasn't for the salary cap stuff going up so much.
Yeah, $9 million more than their projection.
Yeah, I think that, like, because of that, there's just more room to retain one additional guy, right? And so if the one additional guy between, and I think it was 2 additional guys, I think they were really choosing between Charles Omenihu, Turk Wharton, Nick Bolton, and Justin Reed. And they were going to keep 2. Was the way I was always kind of viewing those 4 players. 2 of those guys were coming back. The other 2 guys weren't. Well, no offense, the defensive lineman thing doesn't feel like a pressure that it used to. This is the single greatest defensive lineman free agency period ever. I mean, there's no stars, but there's 40 decent ones on the free agent market.
It's a terrible overall free agent class. It's the one position that is good. Otherwise, it's actually a very mediocre free agency coming up because so many players like Nick Bolton are being retained. I mean, he was someone that could hit He was someone that could hit the market. He's not going to obviously hit the market anymore. We can go on. I mean, there's been player after player that has decided for their own benefit, and the teams have looked at the free agency, and they're like, it's not that great of a group in most positions. Here in about 15 minutes, we're going to talk about the left tackle, right? Another left tackle off the board because Ronnie Stanley re-signed with the Ravens over the weekend. That grouping looks worse and worse. Could the Chiefs, though, sign one of them in the next hour or so? Yeah, everything opens up here in about 15 minutes.
I know that football was really exciting this weekend and will continue to be exciting today because there's a million moves constantly happening all over the place. But I'd be remiss if I ignored this yesterday from the Royals.
That sounded good.
Yes, it did.
That's going to go a long way to right field and spring training home run number 3.
Ryan Lefevre on the call on the FanDuel Sports Network yesterday. It was nice to see the game on a little TV action yesterday.
Jack Caglianone put another ball into absolute orbit. And yeah, I warned you that with each passing day, if he continues to do this, he's hitting like 500, slugging 1,000,000%, hitting monster home runs. It's going to be hard to keep ignoring how fast can I move up my timeline. A month ago, it was like August. I'm at like July. Yesterday's pushing me towards June.
I get it.
I'm getting closer to June.
I'm
going to be in May. Dude, I'm going to be in May in no time.
Look,
at the rate he's currently hitting, I'm not going to be able to resist.
I'm excited, like everybody else. I'm thrilled. He looks like he's going to be the real deal. We've all said it. He looks the part when you just watch him in the batter's box. All 6'5" of them, all of it, right? You're like, oh, this guy is going to be a legit weapon for a while in a Royals uniform. That all is true. What is also true, though, is it's like less than 20 at-bats in spring training. He's never played even in Double-A. He's never played right field.
He doesn't
those
have
are
a position yet,
those
yeah.
are two things that have to be accounted for when we're evaluating this. Would I love to see him up very soon? Yeah, I mean, obviously, of course. Do I think it would be actually a mistake to have him out there? You know, I think Dusty this morning was like, put him on the opening day roster. Like,
not there yet?
that's not a smart path for his long-term success.
If he's great, it is.
I believe that he's somebody that could be up this year, though, the more and more he's doing this. The talk about, we got to wait till next opening day. I'm not so sure about that anymore. I want to see him start off in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and hit the same way, just crush the baseball again at that level, start to work it at right field. Then by Memorial Day, we see him in AAA, and let's see him crush it there. Then I think the calls will be great. A lot of this is also going to depend on what the big league club is doing, because if he's crushing it, and let's say, unfortunately for this player, a Hunter Renfroe or an MJ Melendez are struggling, the calls for him to be called up will only grow louder and louder. But I do not think there is any scenario where they break out of spring training and we're sitting there in the month of
barring an injury.
Cody, I don't think. Yes,
wow.
If I don't even want to throw the name of the player out there, but if the player that would have to get injured got injured, no, I don't believe there is a scenario where on April or March 28th, I guess 27th.
Yeah, it's in March.
That Jack Caglianone's on the opening day roster. But boy, it's hard not to be excited about what the future holds for him.
He hits the ball.
Yes, he does.
So hard and so far, and everyone in the league is now excited to watch him play, and I can't blame them. I mean, God,
unleashed.
It does, I mean, look,
he could borderline charge. That ball could charge him with assault. I mean, listen to that thing.
It's a great sound, isn't it? He was speaking to our own Josh Vernier, our Royals insider, just about what he wants to show and what he is showing the coaching staff at spring training.
Really, just the mental approach to the game. Just kind of taking it one day at a time, not putting too much emphasis on anything. I mean, I forget who was running, but when I nailed him in the back, I was like, all right, that's not a great start. And I was leading off the next inning. I was like, all right, the best thing in this game is a short-term memory, and that's just kind of not something you show. It's just kind of observed, I guess. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Some of what Cags said to Vern yesterday after that game, after hitting his third home run of spring training. And I'm waiting. Is it a week or so from now or 2 weeks from now when ultimately everybody's going to get disappointed when they see that?
Well, he's going to be the last person sitting down.
But eventually they will send them out of big league camp. And people are going to be very bummed out. Yeah, people will be bummed. They've already sent a couple guys down, but it happens, and he will be part of that group eventually. And he's going to start in Double-A Arkansas. And yeah, we can look the way you guys are talking about him, and I'm with you. If we want to do this road trip to Fayetteville, we can do it. I just wonder, will you guys be interested if the big league club is raking too? Would you actually be in for a trip down to the minor league affiliate?
Let us know. We had fun the last time. 913-586-7965.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I hear you. The top text, at least
Omaha.
We could do that as well.
But he might skip Omaha at this rate. We can't be sure.
Who knows?
We can't be sure. They've done that before.
At least with this home run, someone says, hey, the hit was against a major league pitcher. Yeah, Savale or whatever. At least this home run that he hit was against a established big league pitcher. I like that. Some of the other ones have been against some journeymen or whatever. This is an established
pitch.
Meatball or not, it was.
Pitchers throw bad pitches.
And make them pay. Make them pay when they throw a bad pitch, and boy, did he ever.
That's also I guess the way we're viewing this, because he's been hitting these off of Double-A dudes, right, or Triple-A dudes, like guys who aren't big leaguers, and then he hit one off a big leaguer yesterday. And all I've seen from the people who aren't ready for him are, well, that's the first time he hit off a big leaguer, but that's a meatball, right? Right, cutter down the middle. Right. That's just a horrible place to put a pitch. Or saying, yeah, that's what I would expect a guy who is a big leaguer to do. Right. I would expect a big leaguer. He's not just hitting him sometimes. He's destroying spring training pitching because they're all worse than him. I'd be less if it's he's hitting homers, but he's hitting 250. What's most interesting, and this is, I'll play one more.
I just don't think 11 at-bats is why all this. JJ
16
Piccolo,
plate appearances, 15 plate appearances,
JJ Piccolo, the Royals GM, is not sitting there after 11 at-bats and saying, you know what? It's time for opening day. I'm sorry, that's just not how the thought process goes.
Well, he even said his dad is getting, he gets bombarded with messages where all of a sudden, Jack is well aware of what I think the response is from people around what he's doing already.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm
He's
not
one
trying.
of the top prospects in
we
baseball.
all are acknowledging we should be thrilled and excited about. It looks like they might have just nailed this pick, right? Last year's draft out of Florida. But I think we all know, if we're being honest with ourselves, there's no way he's coming up in April, and that's just never was in the cards for him. He could have 11 at bats with 10 home runs. He's not starting opening day. I mean, I'm sorry, it just was not happening.
I don't know. If it was that, maybe. I know they're
opening day.
Look, the Royals don't do this because they notoriously did not do this with Bobby Wood Jr., which cost him an entire year of service time. If I'm in the office and I'm just telling myself, like, the most important thing for him is to make sure he plays every day while we teach him right field first before we get him into the big leagues. We'll do that first. The massive side benefit is if you wait 2 weeks at least 2 weeks before he makes the bigs, well, then you get a whole extra year of control.
But he literally doesn't have a place. He truly doesn't have a place to play right now. He has to learn some right field. I'm not saying he can't learn right field.
Yeah.
That's the hope, right? That if you want him up this year, then you want him learning right field, because that to me is the only way he gets to the big leagues in 2025 this year. But it's exciting, man. Keep it up. It's fun. We had a chance to talk to him a couple weeks ago.
For every single home run he hits, let's say the season starts and he's in AA, for every home run he hits, it moves his timeline up by a week, in my opinion. If he has 20 home runs, he's already moved up his timeline by 20 weeks. For every home run
he's going to be in the big leagues
you think he's hitting 20 home runs in Northwest Arkansas in a month? I mean, if he does then...
I won't even take the month. It's 15. He's going to get here.
My brakes are on enough for him to, to me, it's July right now. I think he's there in July. I said August. I think he's in July. We'll see how things go.
You know what we need to do? We can work on this. We have some time because it's not like it's happening on opening day. We need to do, you know how people do the contest for when someone's going to have the birth of their child? I guess we can treat it the same way. Let's go ahead and let's work out. Yeah, we're going to have, we can maybe do some calls and texts on this. Not today. We got to establish the contest here. But maybe we do basically pick your date. And by the way, you can also pick next year, 2026 dates. So we just have a long-standing...
Oh, boo. 2026.
We got to have... Either that or we only limit it to 2025 and then nobody wins this year. That's fine. We can do that. I think we have dates. If someone wants to call in and say June 3rd, go for it. I think you're going to lose. But if that's... We can do that contest. I'm
getting closer to that date. I'm not there yet. Told you.
Someone says he's hitting 69 home runs at 420 feet all summer long.
Inching
in the minors. But no, Fayetteville. We had a good time in Fayetteville. Maybe we'll have to do it. We looked at the schedule. There's some games mid-May, weekend.
Yeah.
Go down there, drive down on a Saturday morning or a Friday night, get there for a Saturday night game.
You know me, I'd do it again.
Mm-hmm.
You have to tell me. I had an awesome time the last time. And yeah, we had a little, we went out to Dixon Street and had a couple of drinks. It was fun. A lot of people saying it'd be a fun time, saying it's an easy drive. It's not bad. Because it is we
can workshop this thing.
There were a few people who did it as a day trip. Who went down, watched the game, and then came back up. I didn't do that. I stayed the night.
That's a long drive back. If you drove up that day and then stayed for the game till 10 o'clock and then drove back in the middle of the night. But yeah, it was a good time. So is the notion that Jack can't come up because there's no defensive spot available where he's proven to play. Part of it is there is no spot. Yes, and then the other part is 11 at bats in spring training. The guy played in the fall league, and then now 11 at bats in spring, and that's it. That's all we have.
He has 30 games seemingly of minor league baseball experience. They just want to see him in a full role. That's all. That's typically how this works. They don't usually just put you in the big leagues right away.
The fact he's a college player is why we can even talk about it happening this year. That's the only reason
why. If he was a high school player, we wouldn't even be talking about
That's the only reason why we're sitting here is because we all know and they're not asking him to pitch, right? The whole Jack Toney thing ended pretty quickly, and that's a good thing because that's his quickest path to get into the big leagues. If they were trying to have him learn pitching at this level and all that, well, then the timeline would be pushed back even further. But he is in baseball right now, other than the stars that already exist. But from a prospect perspective, he's the hottest name going. I'm not saying he's the top prospect, but he is the hottest name going. I'm even saying this in this, the trading card market. You can say, well, that's dumb. I'm just telling you, right now, the card everybody is trying to get and invest in, and the player everybody's trying to invest in. Jack Caglianone is the player everybody wants to invest in right now because there's a ton of excitement. I'm not even just talking about from Royals fans. This is across the industry right now for people that like to collect trading cards. One sold for $80,000 of CAGs already. Another one this past weekend, I think, sold for, was it $5,000 or something? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, but he's the hot name. Coming up next, we'll get to the 11 o'clock hour. We're 5 minutes away from the legal tampering period open up in the NFL, so we'll discuss that. Maybe a move happens in the next couple minutes. That's next here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Follow the station on Instagram for ticket giveaways and behind-the-scenes content from the show at The Fan 965.
Men, this is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And though I generally talk about medicine and effective treatments for erectile dysfunction and other men's sexual health issues, today I want to talk about love. Because love is the best reason to get treated for your ED. You see, ED can cause major relationship issues. In fact, men often push their partners away when ED becomes a problem. The condition can cause depression, arguments, breakups, and even contribute to divorce. But the good news is that if you're like most men suffering with ED, you can be successfully treated at Heartland Men's Health and put a stop to the relationship stresses that ED can cause. I say this with all confidence because we have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. Surely, it's likely you'll find you're performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment and get the love back in your life. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City.
Honey, it's me, your wife. Spring is here, and our house desperately needs the experts at Powell Exteriors Casey for siding, windows, entry doors, beautiful decks, patio covers, roofs, and more. Get ready for summer at powellcasey.com.
It's March matchup season at BetMGM. Ready to shoot your shot? Lock in your picks for this year's tournament with the sportsbook born in Vegas. Being on the sidelines is one thing. This March, get into the game with exciting state-of-the-art live tracking technology, exclusive sportsbook selections, and so much more. Check out BetMGM Originals for dozens of markets you won't find anywhere else. Take a shot at our exciting free-to-play games for your chance at scoring odds boost tokens, bonus bets, and many other prizes. Plus, new players can score up to $1,500 in bonus bets if their first bet loses. From the big dogs to the underdogs, March matchups at BetMGM is a player's best friend. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. First bet offers for new customers only. All other promotions for existing customers. Subject to eligibility requirements and rewards may vary. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Some things just go together, like peanut butter and jelly, or a Casey's spicy chicken sandwich and a 49-cent medium fountain drink, or a Casey's breakfast sandwich and a 49-cent fountain drink, or even Casey's limited time Italian deli sliders and a 49-cent fountain drink. You get the idea. It's not crazy. It's Casey's. See store for details.
GimmeTheVin.com's big cash giveaway. I hate games and scams. So when we had the idea to give away $25,000, I was very careful about the way it was orchestrated. Get the top of the market money and enter to be the lucky person to get $25,000 this month in March. This is no joke. This is no game. This is very real. Just like GimmeTheVin.com.
No purchase necessary. For official rules, go to GimmeTheVin.com.
Sell us your car. GimmeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Go to 965thefan.com for the Fiery Hot Sevens contest, where you can win a $30 instant scratch ticket, and one person will win the grand prize, a Bobby Witt Jr. autographed jersey and framing, all thanks to our friends at the Kansas Lottery. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch all the shows from your phone, desktop, or tablet. Your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
All right, let's tamper, baby. It's time to tamper in the NFL. Officially allowed, even though moves have been happening for the last 24, 48 hours at least.
Constantly.
But it is legal tampering season in the NFL. It's Cody and Gold here, 11 o'clock hour.
I like
Alex
this
Gold.
pump-up music. Makes
Cody
it feel
Tapp.
real.
Drew Nixon. Oh, yeah. It's one of my favorite Jock Jams, right? Great track. Great track.
This is probably on Jock Jams 1.
The original, for
the
sure.
The original
Yeah.
Jock Jams, not like 14, you know?
That's exactly right. Now, Twitter is down today. X is down today. Unfortunate timing for the old National Football League, but we have multiple ways to try to keep an eye on this stuff. We'll let you guys know if anything breaks, whether it's Chiefs or big-time NFL news. One thing that could happen, if you believe some of the reporting that's out there from Albert Breer, is that by the middle of this afternoon, Albert Breer says the Chiefs could sign Dan Moore, the tackle out of Pittsburgh, or Jalen Moore, the tackle out of San Francisco. So those are two names to keep an eye on, because we all know, if we're talking left tackle to start the hour today, on the 11 o'clock hour, Ronnie Stanley re-signing with the Baltimore Ravens. He was the name that everybody kept bringing up, and everybody agreed was the best available left tackle on the market that never really made it to the market, right? It amounts to like a 2-year, $44 million deal, essentially, is what the Ravens are giving Ronnie Stanley. And it keeps him with Lamar. Lamar's only left tackle he's ever had in his career, so it was important for them to not let him hit the market. I told you I wasn't a huge fan of Ronnie Stanley, some concerns with money and injury and all that. But I acknowledge he was the best, but he was definitely the best option that's out there. So he's not out there. So Dan Moore and Jalen Moore are your best options.
So at that price point, obviously, I would have been interested in, I'd been very interested, I'll say, in Ronnie Stanley. Of the Moores, I don't know, I guess some of the advanced analytics people tell you that Jalen is slightly better than Dan. More concerning on Dan is that now Jordan Schultz and multiple other NFL insidery people have all said that Dan Moore is expected to get, and their words, not mine, way more than everyone thinks, right? Like, he is expected to get more money than you were anticipating on the free agency market. By the way, there has already been one deal. Hassan Reddick, the first one in the tampering period, is the first, I guess, player to break the habit. He's going to sign a deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But yeah, Ronnie Stanley would have probably been my choice, especially at that price point. I understand your fears over injuries, especially at that position. I would have been willing to take that chance, even though it's not a long-term solution. You and I both said, I'm not sure there's a great long-term, next 5-year solution out on the market. I'd be kind of surprised if they don't make a left tackle move this day, because then what are you left with? Well, if you don't get on it now, is DJ Humphries not there?
Well, then it's, it's
already done.
Okay.
Breaking news, according to Adam Schefter on ESPN, because I still don't have any access to Twitter.
Yeah.
The Chiefs assigned left tackle Jalen Moore to the Kansas City Chiefs on a 2-year deal.
There it is. We figured there was a real chance that this happened very quickly after 11 o'clock with one of the Moores. And there you go. The answer is Jalen Moore is going to be the Chiefs left tackle in 2025. We'll try to maybe get someone on from San Francisco to talk more about him at some point during the show today. But if you're just wanting some background information on who he is, he's 27 years old, just turned 27, former 5th-round pick in 2021 for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, we don't have the financial details out yet. Those will probably come out in the next couple of minutes or so. We'll start to see that. But just off of what is a very subjective grade, I understand that, but it's all we have to base on offensive linemen. Neither one of us are trying to claim we're experts in judging offensive line talent, watching the film and grinding on all that. But he got a 74.9 grade last year from PFF as far as tackles in the NFL. He played 271 snaps, allowed 1 sack that was accounted for him. Of course, he was protecting Brock Purdy. It was a bad year for the San Francisco 49ers. 6'4", 311. He becomes the Chiefs left tackle. And I'm curious to see the dollar amount, because what we'll want to do is comp it with what Dan Moore gets, who is the other high price, what we think will be high price tackle. The one thing I liked about Jalen Moore when we were looking at him last week compared to Dan Moore, who is in Pittsburgh, Jalen Moore, no penalties last year. 0. We all know the story with Jawan Taylor at right tackle. We know Dan Moore in Pittsburgh he had 8 penalties last year. So I like the fact that he only allowed 1 sack this past season and no penalties.
2 years, $30 million is the contract.
Okay.
Don't have the details of exactly how that breaks out per year yet.
$21 million guaranteed.
But the Chiefs have signed Jalen Moore, offensive tackle, to be obviously their left tackle for the upcoming season. He's got a 2-year, $30 million contract, $21 million guaranteed. It's look, for a player of his pedigree, it is actually a pretty high price tag. 2 for $30 million, but we knew they were going to overpay for left tackle.
In free agency, you overpay for everybody.
And I'll take average left tackle play for too much money. I just will. The desperation of what they had to go through for the entire 12 months last year, trying to figure out left tackle, and largely what they've gone through under the entire Andy Reid period. If you're going to buy me 2 years of stability at $15 million a year, I am not going to complain about that price tag. I understand it's a little high for the amount of production he's got in the NFL, but it's not bad.
Well, that was always going to be the case on a free agent signing at the tackle spot. It's not a great left tackle or tackle class in the draft also. So remember that impacts the free agency, when we all know that everybody that's a draft expert says that 5 of the top tackles are going to be converted to guards. So it puts even more emphasis on going and getting one in free agency. And you always typically overpay in free agency for someone that might be the first, second best option available. And the argument now that Ronnie Stanley was signed, that Jalen Moore and Dan Moore were the 2 best. Cam Robinson, I guess, would be part of that equation as well. Those were the best available tackles. The Chiefs settle in on Jalen Moore, as you said, on a deal that's going to give him close to 32 years, $30 million. And the legal tampering period is just 8 minutes, and all of a sudden, it's almost like, Cody, it's almost like they were talking before the last 8 minutes.
Nope. They got that deal done in 8 minutes. I don't know why you're such a hater. They got that deal done in 8 full minutes, my friend.
What this allows you to do, too, is maybe not the first round, but you can still draft a tackle now that you're not expecting said tackle to step in and be a day one starter. If you told me they draft a tackle in the first or second round still in April, I don't hate it, because this is still a short-term fix, you think, for left tackle. They don't need Jalen Moore to be an all-pro. They don't need Jalen Moore to be a Pro Bowler. They need him to be a serviceable, average, like to be above average, but average. And you can say they're not paying him to be average. I get it, but you overpay. We just went over that. He needs to be available for 17 games for this football team and give them average to above average play. If that happens, it's a big win, considering the options that they had to fix left tackle this offseason.
Next one in the books. I guess we could have just played music and just said, here's all the NFL moves, as apparently they're going to happen 5 seconds every time. Chris Godwin back with the Buccaneers. 3 years, $66 million deal. $44 million guaranteed at signing. Look at all these guys going back to their old teams. Is that the theme of the offseason? Very few people seem to be exploring for real free agency and going somewhere else. And instead, we're seeing guys like Chris Godwin, Trey Smith, T. Higgins, and a million others just end up right back with their original squad.
Not a great free agent class because of that. And teams with the projected cap being higher than they thought, both parties are saying, you know what? Stay where I'm comfortable. This team's willing to give me the same kind of amount of money that I was going to get on free agency. I'll roll with it, which is why you're going to see out of the free agent signings today, you're going to have a lot of players that you kind of view as get a lot of money. You know, it's not the best year if you're the Patriots or Commanders to have the first, second most, Chargers, third most, or whatever it is, cap space. Normally, that doesn't make any sense if I say that. You're like, what do you mean it's not a good year to have a ton of cap space? This year, the free agent class, outside of maybe defensive line, is not a great class, and so you're going to overpay because if you have money that offseason, you're going to spend it in the NFL, and if it's the best available player at that position, he's going to be viewed as overpaid or overpriced, and that's why the Jalen Moore thing's a little high too. But Chris Godwin was rumored to be staying in Tampa, and Baker Mayfield's still there. They got a brand new offensive coordinator, so Baker, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin all staying together.
Million deals so far. Which one do you kind of like the best? Myles Garrett, and then we'll talk some more. Jalen Moore. The Chiefs have signed Jalen Moore 2 years, $30 million. They have their left tackle for the 2025 NFL season. Myles Garrett on $40 million a year. DK to the Steelers. Josh Allen's extension. Devontae Adams, 2 for $46. Honest to God, of all of those goals, I think Devontae Adams, 2 for $46 is the best fit. They got all those targets leaving in Cooper Kupp. They don't mind sharing between two different dudes. Stafford still got it. And instead of giving up on their team, which it seemed like they might do if they traded Stafford, they're back all in again, which actually makes way more sense for a 37-year-old quarterback.
Great signing for the Rams for some of the reasons that you pointed out there. He wanted to go West Coast. He goes West Coast. And the Rams were very close to getting to the Super Bowl this past year after a 1-4 start. And when you bring back Matthew Stafford, you're all in. You don't bring back a guy at his age, give him the raise that you gave him without being all in. And even though you're going to lose Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua with Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua is going to have a massive season for next year. When he has somebody like Devontae Adams now with him, I think it's a great signing. The move that I like the most is only because of the conversation around it. Myles Garrett going from Radio Row, interview after interview, saying, hey, guys, I just want to win.
I want to be with you. Let me out.
It's not about the money, as he went on every single national show. I just want to win. I want my path to Canton. It's just not going to be Cleveland to Canton. It's just not going to work that way. You know, I just basically can't live with myself if I don't get to play in these big games. I want a ring where, you know what makes sense, Myles Garrett? You've earned that. You've been in Cleveland in that crappy franchise for 7 years or whatever it is. You've earned the right to tell them, trade me. Fast forward to this weekend, Browns say, we're not going to trade you. But how about a new deal? And everything is fixed.
Well, it's $40 million a year.
The highest paid at the time, highest paid non-quarterback in the league. We're going to go ahead and give you some money. It turns out I can deal with some of the crappiness of 4 or 5 win seasons when you're making the kind of money Myles Garrett's now going to make, $40 million a year. Props to him. I'm not even saying he shouldn't have taken the money. It's funny because when you put out the statement the way he did, and then it shows us reminder with all this kind of stuff. Money solves every dispute and confrontation in the league with ownership and GMs. All of a sudden, everybody loves each other again once they're given $40 million to you.
Do we all agree that Aaron Rodgers is going to become the quarterback of the Steelers? Because I don't think you make the trade for DK Metcalf and pay him $150 million if you're planning on starting Justin Fields. Although multiple reports are that they actually want Fields, but the Jets are making a hard push, and it's not till the Fields thing. Fields is going to be the first quarterback domino to fall in all of this before the rest of the teams make their plan. Just kind of wild. Wild. All right, we can take the NFL music down. Let's talk a little bit more about Jalen Moore for just a minute. If you missed it, the Chiefs have signed their offensive tackle, 2 years, $30 million, Jalen Moore.
$21.2 million fully guaranteed at signing.
I think that this has a high likelihood of not being popular with fans in season. If you look at his pass block win rates and all this stuff, he's kind of mediocre. You know the truth? His 3-year NFL career, he has been a pretty mediocre tackle in the NFL. I will say he's healthy, and this is going to sound really bad, and I know most of the time this is not what I subscribe to from a sports angle. I'll take average, man. I'll take average. That's a far cry from starting your guard at left tackle, or a far cry from signing DJ Humphries at Thanksgiving, to maybe come back and play tackle, or a rookie in the second round who can't block, this is going to look like a noticeable improvement in the early going. I think as the season goes on, you'll see some of the flaws and where the Chiefs' offensive line is still not going to be perfect, especially a tackle, because Jalen Moore is the guy who makes mistakes but never is penalized, and Jawan Taylor's the guy who probably blocks better but gets the penalties, Gold. But like I could see it being a frustrating year still in the offensive line a little, but just way less than last year. We can't be mad at this signing, can we? 2 for 15, 2 for 30, 15 a year.
They had to address left tackle.
They had no choice.
And he was one of the best options that existed in an otherwise kind of crappy free agent class. And DJ Humphries was something that you and I discussed as a cheap option that I would have understood if they brought him back. They clearly did not want to go that path again. They felt it was worth it. This is not a 4 or 5 year deal, though. That's what's, on one hand, you like it because there's very little risk in a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it doesn't mean that they have found their long-term solution, but this is probably as long-term as you were going to get in this offseason cycle outside of signing Ronnie Stanley, who never became available. He ended up re-signing, as we know, with Baltimore. But he's coming off, if you believe in PFF grades, Jalen Moore, career high, 74.9 offensive grade. That was third among his own offensive line last year. But 55 games, you mentioned stability, Cody, or just availability, I'm sorry. 55 games, 12 starts over 4 years since he was a fifth-round pick. And he ended up playing the final, looks like 7 games because Trent Williams was out. And so this was a guy that the 49ers were willing to part with because of the money they still are paying Trent Williams, and he becomes available. And I wonder if we're going to sit in the next, I'll call it another hour, if this is going to be a deal that you like better financially in an hour from now. Which
might you see Dan Moore's number?
When Dan Moore, I'll project that he gets signed in the next hour now that Jalen Moore is off the board. Dan Moore, the tackle out of Pittsburgh, whose name has come up here in Kansas City as a potential option. That deal is going to be more than what I would be stunned. 2 years for 30 for Jalen Moore.
Everyone's talking.
I think Dan Moore is going to get a 3-year deal for significantly more money, and you're going to say, hey, is Dan Moore that much better than Jalen Moore? And then some metrics, the answer is definitely no, penalties in particular. And so this doesn't tie them up for 3 years. Heck, even if Jalen Moore ends up not working, it's not a problem that's going to hold you back for the next 3 years.
I think a lot of
you're right, though, about the way we view line play because of how bad it's gotten at left tackle. Mm-hmm. It really is get me competent level of play. They were not getting competent play for 2 games with Kingsley. They obviously, with an injured Wanya Morris, were not getting competent play. And then at the end of the year, they got competent play from Joe Thuney, but he's not a left tackle. He's a guard. And that was the reality of the situation in the Super Bowl and even at some other times. Now they have a true tackle that fits the build of a tackle in the National Football League that with a full offseason learning this offense should be able to get you average to above average play at times.
A lot of the national pundits he doesn't grade out well. How about I just put that mildly? His pass block win rate isn't high enough, or his run block win rate isn't high enough. There's a reason, and we admit this all the time. There's a reason why he is available on the free agency market in a year in which no good tackles are available. And if you want to call this an overpay, which it is, from what his probably true value is, okay, I won't argue that it's an overpay. I won't argue that based on its true value. Did you want them to go into another season having absolutely no answers at left tackle at all? I didn't. I was unaccepting of that. That's why this deal makes sense. And to your point, Dan Moore's going to make more. So unless you were going to go with what our original plan was, which is do DJ Humphries, sign a different veteran too like Donovan Smith, draft a third guy, and then figure it out from there, this was really the next best option if you were trying to limit the financial commitment you are making at left tackle while still actually having a left tackle.
And I would still draft one. Now it's a different calculation. Before
might
we
be
were
like
saying,
a 3rd round pick.
We were saying,
I don't like any of the 1st round guys, but
don't use a top pick on a tackle because that tackle in the draft is going to get converted to guard, or if he is going to stay at tackle, he's going to not be a day 1 starter. Well, now you can draft once again another bit of a developmental tackle and see what happens. He's got 2 years before you actually need him to start. Kingsley, you and I both think is going to go to guard, although there's some speculation the Chiefs could sign a veteran guard as well. But I think Kingsley has a really good chance to be the guard, so that takes care of your second-round pick from a year ago. So don't be stunned if the Chiefs use one of their top 3 picks on a tackle still. And I wouldn't hate that idea because Jalen Moore, who the Chiefs just signed, according to Adam Schefter, is a 2-year option for you. He's a 2-year stopgap. I guess if he played great, they could eventually, after a year, decide to extend him. Like if all of a sudden he has this perfect...
He has his breakout year.
Which would be obviously a good problem to have at that point in time. Jalen Moore, drafted in 2021, just 27 years old.
He has been
left tackle for the Chiefs.
Healthy for the most part, too, which you and I agree is kind of big at this point because at least we're not trying to guess anymore. A lot of moves. We'll keep you up to date on the NFL moves, obviously, as they continue to come in. But
so much tampering in the league. They were tampering
this is legal
days ago.
I know. It's so stupid. I understand, like, part of this is just like you don't want to make people show up to the league office and actually process these things or whatever. And technically, and we see about 1 to 2 of these a year, technically none of these deals are like binding. You could just be like, I don't feel like it. It's usually at the lower end guys, but it's like, I don't feel like it. I actually decided I'm gonna go somewhere else. We see it at like running back and wide receiver quite a bit.
Just a couple other moves trickling in around the league. Some of these are a little bit smaller deals, as you referenced, but the Chicago Bears continue to add to their offensive line. We know they already traded for Joe Thuney. They traded for the guard from the Rams as well. They just now, according to Adam Schefter, signed center Drew Dahlman, 3-year, $42 million deal. He becomes the second highest paid center in the league. Of course, the highest paid center in the league would be the Chiefs' Creed Humphrey. So the Bears have added 3 new pieces trying to bolster their all line to protect. The most sacked quarterback in football last year was Caleb Williams. In comes Ben Johnson, priority number 1, offensive line. Also, a wide receiver off the board, small deal. The Texans agreeing to a deal with former Dolphins wide receiver Braxton Berrios. 1 year, $2 million. A very minor deal. I'm actually surprised a deal like that is happening on day one. But that's according to Adam Schefter.
What's Braxton Berrios in a hurry for?
The Texans have a wide receiver room recently that has added Christian Kirk. Now Braxton Berrios. We know Tank Dell's out for all next season to go with Stephon Diggs is a free agent, so they needed some extra bodies there in their wide receiver room.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, at least on that end. Well, again, keep you up to date, at least on that end. How about Chicago? Their offensive line looks dramatically different.
It had to, you know.
Wait, he showed up and he's like, "This offensive line, that ain't gonna work. We're gonna have to flip this whole damn thing."
Smart, right?
We're gonna keep this guy protected.
And Joe Thuney, we all know what he's capable of, and he's going to be able to coach up even some of the rest of the offensive line. You have a quarterback going into his sophomore year. He was beat up, sacked more than anybody. You got to get the offense right. Well, then we'll see how successful Ben Johnson is otherwise. But offensively, they got weapons there, but you got to give your guys some time. And actually, it makes a ton of sense what Chicago has done this offseason. But as far as the other moves that are going on, as you mentioned, the very first one that kicked us off today at 11 o'clock was Hassan Reddick on a 1-year deal, $14 million with the Tampa Bay Bucks. And he's been kind of a bit of a journeyman here recently.
I think the worst deal of the day is Khalil Mack, 1 for 18. Fully guaranteed? What the hell are the Chargers doing?
They have a ton
They
of
have
cap
no
space.
pass rush and a ton of cap space. So I guess for that argument, it doesn't make it the worst move of all time. But Khalil Mack had 6 sacks last year. That's the same number as Turk Wharton. And you're going to pay $18 fully guaranteed dollars for him? You and I did discuss after they had let Bosa go, like, who the hell's left to actually pass rush from that team. And it turns out their pass rush was quite miserable on that end. It just feels like, why are you buying yourself a year in there? Why don't you look for some long-term options? In a year where we've mentioned free agency is not a good market, like there's not a ton of good free agents, defensive line's got a lot of dudes. Like kind of across the board. People who are available kind of all over at different spots, inside, outside, tackle, edge. Not a lot of stand-up, probably 3-4 guys, so maybe that's why they paid Khalil Mack versus just straight defensive line guys. But, man, there were a lot, so I would have just assumed. I did just see. I had to check the list. The Royals just put out their list of people who've been reassigned to minor league camp. Jack Caglianone's not currently on it.
Good.
Major league roster down to 52. The major league camp roster, so still double.
Yeah, they'll keep him up there as long as they can until eventually there will be a day.
He'll be the last dude.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
Should be the last dude. Or he'll be, I don't know, second to last. Some other guy who they're not sure if he's going to make the roster, if they're going to try to re-sign on a minor league deal, will be actual last, you know.
Coming up next, though, we'll get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. We'll fill you in on any moves that happened during the break. We'll talk some more about Jalen Moore. The Chiefs have their new left tackle from the San Francisco 49ers. That's coming up next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Man, have you been feeling like tired, a little run down, lost muscle mass, all of those things, right? They can be a sign of low testosterone. Don't wait. Go find out. At the Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's a simple test with their on-site lab, and you get the results back right there. I know you're always worried. You're like, oh, what's going to be like? No, it's not your typical doctor's office. All their physicians specialize in treating low T with their testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each individual patient, right? You're a different person. Everyone has different treatments or different needs. They treat those individually with over a decade of experience helping patients just like you with personalized treatment plans to optimize it for you. Look, if you're a current patient, Low T Center offers a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer in addition to that, and you should be checking that out as well. Look, if you're feeling run down, why not get your levels checked? Go get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
This week, FanDuel is bringing you a Dog of the Day Profit Boost token. One of the best parts about the tourney is when an underdog takes down the powerhouse. And right now, those upsets can get even better. Because if your underdog bet wins, you'll land even more winnings with the Profit Boost. This is your chance to ride with the long shots, the scrappy teams, the ones that refuse to go quietly. So if you've been waiting to join FanDuel, then March is the perfect time to do so. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. All you need to do is visit FanDuel, use my promo code KFNZ to download America's #1 sportsbook today and back your Dog of the Day with the Profit Boost. Because after all, anything can happen in March. FanDuel, an official partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Wager of at least plus 100 odds required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Art Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get out with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru, and it's time to make a big deal out of nothing. Announcing Lee Summit Subaru's 0% event. Zero, like in 0% financing. Zero is back. Up to 0% financing on select 2024 and 2025 Subaru models for 72 months. And we're 2024 Google's highest review rated and only locally owned Subaru retailer in Kansas City. 0% event. The Subaru A Lot to Love event at Lee Summit Subaru.
Google highest review rated Subaru retailer in Kansas City based on Google Analytics.
Hey, it's Dick Ray. Why do they call us the heating, AC, and plumbing magician? We show up on time, diagnose and fix the problem quickly without breaking the bank. And now we have our own madness going on in March with our Dick Ray BOGO deal. Schedule a $99 AC tune-up by March 31st and receive your furnace tune-up next fall for free. Come on, sing it with me.
Call Dick Ray, he's your cooling magician. Dick Ray, he's a man on a mission.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse.
I know, just got the notification.
Made it.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Stay in the know with USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
Choose Syntec Full Synthetic Motor Oil designed for today's engines exclusively at your O'Reilly Auto Parts store or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
This report is brought to you by CareNow Urgent Care. Find one near you at carenow.com.
CareNow Urgent Care has 15 Kansas City area locations open 7 days a week. From injuries and illnesses to school and sports physicals, CareNow Urgent Care is here to help you feel better fast. Find a location near you at carenow.com and use our convenient web check-in today.
Guys, look, I decided to make a decision to lose some weight, and thanks to Awaken 180, it's been a breeze so far. Been on the program a little over a week. I've already lost 8 pounds. I'm feeling significantly better. Can't wait to finally get back to that, I don't know, summer body. Is that what it is? Either way, I just wanted to feel better in my body. You know what this is. I got the super bone. My feet hurt. I got to lose some weight so I feel better about it. You can do the same decision by helping yourself to Awaken 180 by calling 844-346-1800, 844-346-1800. Go online. Take a look for yourself at awaken180weightloss.com. It's a chance for you without the medications or the gym or the calorie counting to do it. They make it easy, and they offer free support for life after you reach your weight loss goal. That way you're able to stay at the weight you want. I already lost 8 pounds in over a week. It's a little bit more than that now. A weigh-in tomorrow officially, so I'll give you the update. And you can make those decisions again. Check them out for yourself. Go to Awaken 180 and call 844-346-1800 or go to awaken180weightloss.com.
Opening day coverage is brought to you by Hollywood Casino. Stop by Hollywood Casino every Wednesday in March from 12 until 2 to register for your chance to win opening day tickets. Your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Back here on Cody and Gold, if you're just joining us for the first time today, the Chiefs have a new left tackle, Jalen Moore, signing a 2-year, $30 million deal, $22 million of which is guaranteed. He was the backup tackle in San Francisco. He played in multiple games last year as Trent Williams missed 7 games. That is the plan at left tackle moving forward. We'll get back into that. Also, during the break, Jordan Schultz reporting the Chiefs are signing running back Elijah Mitchell to a deal worth up to $3.5 million. Elijah Mitchell, also from the San Francisco 49ers, 26 years old. He'll turn 27 in May, so he'll be 27 going into the start of this season. This past year, remember, a banged-up running back room in San Francisco. He also was part of that equation. Just 11 games. He did not play this past season, I'm sorry, because of the injury. So 11 games 2 years ago, in which he had 75 carries, 281 yards. His best year was his rookie year when he was 23. He had 207 attempts, 963 yards, and 5 touchdowns. But he missed this past year. I can't remember the exact injury, but he did not play in all of 2024. I believe it was an off-season injury. Was it a knee injury? What was the actual injury? So he did not play last season for the 49ers. But you think this is more just the veteran?
This is the Samaje Perine move. This is here's a 1-year deal. He is a good pass catching, has some speed back, shown some burst, and now all we're doing is him to stay healthy by being the 3rd running back in our system. I don't see any reason at all why this prevents you from drafting the same running backs we have mentioned in the 3rd and 4th rounds for the Chiefs, Gold. Why would it? It's a 1-year deal for a guy who didn't play last year and is a backup. He's a career backup, by the way. He wasn't even a starter in the year. He had 900 yards. Somebody got hurt, and he burst onto the scene in Shanahan's illustrious running offense. And so I don't have any problem with it. Obviously, there's nothing wrong. But
before he got hurt last year, Jordan Mason was the backup running back to Christian McCaffrey. So Elijah Mitchell went way down the depth chart. He was placed on injured reserve this past year, and I believe it was a hamstring injury that got worse. Is what it was for Elijah Mitchell. But the Chiefs have another running back in the room, and so you take a look at it right this second. It's Elijah Mitchell, it's Isaiah Pacheco, and it's Carson Steele. That's what your running back room looks like.
So you need another person.
And I think this shouldn't change their thought on getting more explosive via the draft, but we'll see. It's a 1 year, $3.5 million deal, so I don't think anybody should be complaining about that. Some other moves that have happened in the NFL since we took a break as legal tampering is open in the NFL. B.J. Hill back with the Cincinnati Bengals on a 3-year, $33 million deal. Javon Kinlaw from the 49ers goes to the Commanders, part of the defensive line there. 3 years, $45 million.
That's way too much for him. That's fine. But they have the money.
It's free agency, man. Free agency,
it's free
man.
agency and they have the money. What's the difference? I'm just saying he has 9.5 career sacks in 4 years, 5 years in the NFL.
It is not a good free agent class. You're going to overpay. You're going to overpay. You have a ton of cap space. The cap keeps going up. Some of these deals are going to seem like you're going to be overpaying, and that's going to happen throughout the entire day, man.
I know. I'm just saying, like, some are just like more egregious than others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I hear you. Just a few other things to get caught up on if you're just joining us for the first time. Chris Godwin earlier this hour did re-sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a new deal, although I haven't seen the dollar amount. 3 years, maybe there was a dollar amount out there. I only saw the 3-year part. In addition to that, the details on the Kinlaw deal, the Commanders, $45 million over 3 years, $30 million guaranteed. So the Commanders, who have a connection with Kinlaw. Their GM, Adam Peters, was with the 49ers, and so they feel like they've acquired 2 49ers players in the last week, Deebo Samuel and then Kinlaw. 49ers, man, some of them are smaller moves, but a lot of guys moving on. They moved on from Deebo. Kinlaw's moving on. The Chiefs are signing their backup tackle in Jalen Moore. The Chiefs are signing their backup running back in Elijah Mitchell. So a lot of different pieces out there in San Francisco.
I think a lot of these deals are going to look even worse than normal because of the amount of cap space available for these teams and the lack of players available to sign with them. Because otherwise, I'd be like, this Kinlaw deal and any other free agency period, I'd be like, are you nuts? Turk Wharton has 4 more career sacks than Javon Kinlaw. Is Turk Wharton going to get 3 years for $45 million? That would have stunned me. Now, Kinlaw's got I was a first-round pick 5 years ago. Right. I'd say the NFL numbers have played themselves out pretty significantly on that end. Just some of the deals every once in a while, it's still, whoo. I mean, it just comes with a different ring. And look, a lot of people are saying the same thing about the Chiefs' contract for their offensive tackle and Jalen Moore. For some reason, you missed it. Chiefs have a left tackle, Jalen Moore, 2 years, $30 million. They've also signed a 1-year deal with running back Elijah Mitchell. I'd say they're dipping their toe in the free agency market, right? They're not big players right now. They're just kind of dipping their toe in the water.
Their biggest signings were what we think will be a long-term deal for Trey Smith, and the re-signing of Nick Bolton. I mean, honestly, that is going to be, I think,
those don't feel free agency, even though they are.
Like last year, their biggest splash was retaining Chris Jones on a much bigger scale. Right, gave out over $100 million contract, but that was their biggest move of the offseason. Doesn't mean they don't make other moves, but that was their biggest. It feels like Trey Smith's $24 million franchise tag, soon to be extension, we hope, was the biggest splash, and then Nick Bolton back on a 3-year deal that really essentially is 2 years, $15 million each year of that deal. Those were the biggest. They already brought back Hollywood Brown, we know, over the weekend on a 1-year up to $11 million contract, although it's one for 6.8 if incentives are not reached. Those are their bigger moves, if you will. And then the biggest need was left tackle, but if there's not a huge splash signing to go and get in the free agent market, there's not one. And Jalen Moore was probably the most cost-effective for what they think they're going to get. And as we've been alluding to, Dan Moore, the other option out of Pittsburgh, his deal hasn't come through yet. We don't know where he's going to sign. That is going to be a much bigger deal than what the Chiefs are getting Jalen Moore for. So I think they maybe thread the needle of we didn't want to just go back to the DJ Humphries thing. We wanted to bring in somebody that we saw start, I think it was 7 games for Trent Williams last year as a tackle, and he's not breaking the bank, and he's still young enough that we don't think the injury risk is going to be there the same way it would be there with some of the older options Donovan Smith, DJ Humphries. And heck, they still might bring it. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine DJ Humphries wanting to come back to be a backup, but they may bring in another veteran to back up left tackle just to ensure that they have some more options considering how last year went down.
Yeah, I mean, I would just to be safe. Again, he has the number based on the amount of experience he actually has playing left tackle. Because you're like, wait, you're telling me he's playing left tackle for the 49ers just real quick. That was Trent Williams, right? And you're like, yes, it was Trent Williams. Trent Williams missed 6, 7, 8 games last year for the 49ers, in which time he stepped in and played left tackle. Look, is it a limited amount of tape they're probably getting on him to just roll him in? Sure. But that's not going to stop them from signing, like you said, a veteran in Donovan Smith. But I truly do think that they could just use either Kingsley as a continued development if they signed continuing developed tackle. That's not crazy. Mitchell Schwartz, a guy who played tackle a really long time in this league, says that that's an okay idea if that's the way you want to go as far as like developing him goes. Or you just hope Wanya's knee gets healthy in the offseason and he's your backup tackle. Like, again, your hope is going into the season that those guys never get hurt. Nobody, you say this about quarterback, nobody has a good backup left tackle. They're all like, maybe the 49ers did, but it's rare.
For the Chiefs' sake, I hope they did. And again,
but it's rare.
The bar of what you're hoping to get out of Jalen Moore, like, yeah, in his perfect world, he turns out to be a long-term answer. He has a great 1 year, and you're willing to extend him after that. But you need competent left tackle play. And in a small sample size, Jalen Moore, 1 sack given up. About 270 snaps. 1 sack given up. That is just alone is improvement of what you were getting pre-Joe Tooney playing left tackle. That must mean.
Are they taking a tackle?
Is that a signing or is that a mock draft? I'm confused today. There's so many things. Did we miss a signing or is this a mock draft sounder
This
today?
is a mock draft sounder that plays into some of what they did. I think you guys are going to like this mock draft a little bit. The Athletic from Nick Bumgardner. A 3-round mock draft for the Chiefs, taking wide receiver in the first round. Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State at 31.
They're wide receiver all of a sudden. Was that before the Hollywood Brown signing?
No, this is after. It came out today.
Okay.
I believe.
I don't have to tell you. I'm sure Bink would text in a heartbeat. The Chiefs don't draft Ohio State guys.
Wait, what? Is this a thing?
They don't draft Ohio State guys.
Why?
I don't know.
I think they should.
It's obviously a great program. It's obviously a great program. They don't draft Ohio State guys for whatever reason.
So
like ever?
Just tell me find me the last one.
I don't know, man.
They don't. It's weird. I know. I would think you would because
this is very much a Bink stat.
Yeah.
Considering how good Ohio State wide receivers are. Also,
yeah, it's not like there's been a bunch of bad ones coming into the league. They've been pretty good.
Turns out they're
playing
really
into
good.
your guys' conversation about Wanya Morris. Round 2 selection. Charles Grant, tackle from William & Mary in the second round. So this would play into the develop.
Cody watched a lot of William & Mary football recently.
Yeah.
Did you?
You know, the glowworms. They're, well, they had to change their name.
I was going to say
their mascot is a glowworm with a tri-corner hat.
Wait, so they're called the William & Mary.
I don't know if that's like they might just call themselves something else, but that's their mascot. Their mascot.
I thought they were the tribe.
Correct.
No, they changed that due to
they were the tribe.
That's what I said. I thought they were the tribe.
They were. They don't do that anymore.
They still are. William & Mary Tribe men's basketball.
Well, they call themselves that, but their I think it's what it is. Their mascot. Changed, if that makes sense.
Okay, but they are still the
They're
tribe.
not the glowworms as like a university. But they got rid of the mascot.
All right, what about
the mascot was it was kind of like old Cleveland mascot.
Okay.
It was
what about the rest of the rest of the mock?
2 round 3 picks. Obviously, the Chiefs have Joshua Simon, tight end from South Carolina at 66 in the selection, and then guard Jackson Slater from Jackson State at 95. So wide receiver, offensive tackle, tight end, guard.
Yeah, that sounds fine. I'm like, this is the first mock draft I feel like in a while I haven't argued with. Even the wide receiver in the first round. Can you imagine a wide receiver? And then I want to talk some Hollywood Brown with you for a minute, Gold. But can you imagine a wide receiver unit that is first rounder Xavier Worthy, first rounder kid from what's his name from Ohio State? Which one?
Emeka Egbuka.
Okay, so Emeka Egbuka. Then a second rounder in Rashee Rice, and a former first rounder, right? Wasn't Hollywood Brown in the first round? Or was he a second rounder?
I think he was first round.
Late first.
And a former first rounder who just signed on a free agent deal, and Travis Kelce. I mean, look, based on the conversation we had last week, it'd be hard to argue with they're doing everything to absolutely load up with weapons and try to be an offensive team again if they go that route in the first round. That always goes back to the Hollywood thing. This is the only thing I have with the Hollywood Brown signing that I can't quite figure out is when all the guys are on the field together, who runs where? Because like Hollywood and Worthy do run some of the same routes. And all the underneath stuff has been Rice, and it's certainly going to be Rice and Kelsey. So like, are they just both running go route? Like,
Hollywood Brown's, so,
I'm trying to figure out how the offense all functions together. They obviously had a plan for it last year, but they were going to slow walk Xavier Worthy versus like now he's a full member of the offense.
A lot of what we saw during training camp, stretching the field. Hollywood Brown and Worthy can, yes, run similar routes, but if Rashee Rice is going to be suspended, we think, for the first couple weeks of the season, that's another reason why, I wanted Hollywood Brown back. I think on the deal that he's back to, it's hard to really.
The deal's great.
It's one for $6.8 million. Incentives get it to 11, according to some of the reporting. Albert Breer, I believe, had the specifics on the contract this morning. I hear what you're saying. Like, hey, what's the role? I just think a lot of that gets sorted out. Like, I view it as a good problem to have. Injuries that happen, suspensions that happen, like that. Unfortunately, that happened. Like, I think that is a good thing for them. And Hollywood Brown does know the system. I know we don't have to revisit it. Like, hey, how many games he played? But in general, he's familiar with the system, right? I like that. And he is highly motivated because I still think a multi-year deal is out there if he has the year he was hoping to have this past year. As in, hey, can you stay healthy? Even if he plays 13 games this year, does that get him a multi-year deal after this one? I think it does. And we were going through the yardage and everything.
Probably not here based on the young wide receivers in Kansas City.
Yardage, 700, 800, that range, depending on the length of a suspension for somebody like Rashee Rice. Definitely no issue with that. Just a couple other things happened in the last few minutes. Minor move in the NFL. Jimmy Garoppolo back with the Rams. Now he's just going to be a backup for Matthew Stafford, but there was some thought that maybe he would reach free agency with one of these other teams that needs a quarterback, go back down that road, while Fields and Russell Wilson and Sam Darnold are still out there. But Jimmy Garoppolo, according to Ian Rappaport, back with the Los Angeles Rams. The Jags also signing Jordan Lewis. According to Peter Schrager, he's now the NFL's highest paid nickel corner. And when it comes to corner news, we'll talk about this probably more throughout the week, but based on what J.C. Horn just got from the Carolina Panthers, over $100 million, Trent McDuffie should be feeling good this morning because Derek Stingley,
he got paid,
and I'm missing the other name, Sauce Gardner, are all due for extension soon. That number just went up.
Yeah, significantly. I mean, I would think that they're all in the $26, $27 million per year range, give or take, based on that. Also, Jerry Dulac, who's a long-term writer there in Pittsburgh, he's reporting that they're getting close to signing Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
So
Aaron Rodgers throwing to DK Metcalf.
Okay. And George Pickens?
Wow.
The attitude. Woo! What an offensive room that is. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh, my. You almost have to get rid of one ego. Otherwise, how the hell does it even work?
Pure speculation.
How does it even work?
Pure speculation. I just think George Pickens will get traded because it's not just the attitude thing. If you're George Pickens, you're saying, wait, they just gave $100 and whatever million to DK Metcalf. I know they're never giving me that kind of money in a year from now. Or 2 years from now.
There's one moment on the field where both of them are going to get mad at each other for who's getting the ball. Or mad at Aaron.
I wonder if they trade him.
Now, I don't think they're ever paying both. So trading him is the only thing that makes sense. Like, I would love to argue some other version of it, but that's really kind of what it kind of boils down to. And look, he's saying getting close, and we're still early in the free agency period. So
someone says nobody's paying McDuffie $27 million a year. Well, then he won't be a member of the Chiefs for long. I'm just saying that'll be the
someone is going to pay him. That. Maybe Kansas City isn't, which I think they will, but somebody is.
We know how the cornerback market works. He and Derek Stingley and Sauce Gardner are next up. They all will at minimum get the J.C. Horn deal that he got today.
4 for $100.
4 for $100 maxes out at 108.
And it's
that's the benchmark now. Sorry, that's just how the position works.
Corner was long overdue for a jump in pay too. So you got to remember that it was well overdue for jump in pay. And this is always a two-way street that you and I talk about. It's like, why didn't you already sign Trent McDuffie so his deal didn't come out? Which is, in fairness, what the Broncos did with Pat Surtain. But it does take both parties being motivated, looking at the market the same way, for it to just fall in order. A lot of times in free agency, it falls in order of the quality of player you are. It doesn't always, as in the person who is of the highest quality player gets signed last. Not all the time, but that is not that inconsistent with what happens in the NFL pretty consistent, on a regular basis. And so, I would view it that way.
Do you
so many moves.
think the Chiefs are done for today?
Okay, so no, they'll sign a defensive lineman, in my opinion.
Hollywood Brown over the weekend re-signs. We'll get back to Nick Bolton as we did earlier. Nick Bolton re-signed, we know, on a 3-year deal, really 2 for $15 million a year. They just today signed Jalen Moore to a 2-year deal with 21 or whatever it is million guaranteed. Is there another move out there? You think a defensive lineman today on day one?
Today. I just think there's
like
many.
Bringing back somebody like a Turk Warner,
either
Charles
that.
Omenihu?
I just think it's like a 2-year deal for a veteran defensive lineman. I'm a little more hesitant now that I saw Kinlaw got $15 million per year on whether or not they're bringing back Turk Wharton. I just think there's a lot of other people on the market. But yeah, I think that they'll get something done in the defensive line department because that's the one remaining
big hole,
incomplete group. You could roll out a team today at wide receiver, at running back, at offensive line, at safety, even in my opinion, and certainly at linebacker after they re-signed Nick Bolton. And so the only position they couldn't roll out enough bodies at is defensive line. That's why I feel like maybe that move's still coming.
Well, and let's keep an eye on some of the guys that they haven't re-signed yet. Do we get a quick resolution on where a Justin Reed ends up? If he's not back in Kansas City, where else does he go? Charles Omenihu, based on some of his tweets, which I think he's deleted some of them since, it didn't sound like, at least out there on the public sphere, that it was going great, like that maybe he wasn't getting the number that he was hoping to get, that he was going to reach free agency, which is essentially what has happened. I know the league year doesn't start till Wednesday, but today's basically free agency in the NFL. It's pretty evident with how everything's going. So that would be another name that I would be interested in. And then there's some other guys that are not signing today, like Juju Smith-Schuster, D-Hop. Where do they end up? I'm just
further
curious.
down, the not day one free agents.
That might take a couple of days as well.
Although I didn't think Elijah Mitchell was a day one free agent.
No, that was surprising. Just a quick 1 year, $3.8 million deal. If you're just joining us for the first time today, welcome into Cody and Gold. It's been a busy day already. The Chiefs so far today have signed what they view as their left tackle for the next year or two, Jalen Moore. He was the backup to the 49ers, Trent Williams, for the last couple of years. And then, as Cody mentioned, the Chiefs have also signed veteran running back Elijah Mitchell to a small deal, 1 year, according to Jordan Schultz, $3.8 million, up to $3.8 million. He did not play all of last season due to an injury. He was on injured reserve.
Your guy, Jimmy G, just signed back with the Rams. 1 year, $11 million.
My guy.
Well, he's not my guy. We've long established that. He's got to be someone's guy. He's not mine.
I only defended him 3 years ago when he was post Super Bowl and you were crushing him. Now he's just a backup.
Really smart for that take now.
He was in the Super Bowl. I wasn't saying he was a top 10 quarterback in the league.
I don't remember what you were saying. I just feel like he was rightfully crushed. He stinks. I was right that he stunk. He stunk this whole time.
I don't think he stunk the whole time. It's very easy now that where he's at in his career, he's a backup. That's what he is now.
I made that comment then. So, yes, I do have the benefit of hindsight now, but I was claiming he was no good then.
Yeah. I mean, he went to a Super Bowl.
1 year, $11 million.
Yeah, small deal. How about that? He's getting paid a lot. Also, where does Carson Wentz end up in this whole thing? You're like, why does that matter? Well, the Chiefs would need to have another backup quarterback. And there was a report this weekend out of from Connor Roberts, I believe his name is, who's a Jets beat writer, that if the Jets do not get Justin Fields, as in Fields stays with Pittsburgh,
they're playing
that Carson Wentz and who was the other veteran that they were going to consider talking to? Oh, Marcus Mariota. Sorry,
I can't. What? In the year 2025, you're going to start Marcus Mariota?
Mariota, yeah.
I mean, I did also see that the Titans were interested in starting Zach Wilson, so maybe it's just bleak out there. It's tough out on these streets.
I'm telling you,
Zach Wilson?
Yeah, they're going to have to deal with it.
They're definitely trying to be the number 1 overall pick next year if you go out there and sign Zach Wilson.
Really?
You've definitely mailed it in if that's your guy.
Deal with it.
I guess, Titans fans. I guess that's the path you go with.
Get Abdul Carter, stink it up again. Get your roster ready for whenever you.
Problem is that head coach will not. Well, that coach will get fired. Your guy, your former Cincinnati guy, will not be there after 2 years if they stink it up again.
I think they'll give him a shot. If they do have the number 1 pick, I think they'll give him a shot. Take whoever it is, whether it's Drew Aller, whether it's Cade Klubnik, Avery Johnson, whoever it is.
Okay. I mean, gosh, there's just so many. It's just that's what it is. There are options available in each of these conversations, but yeah, sometimes I'm just surprised which way it goes. And sometimes, backup, I don't care as much about who the backup quarterback is because I just feel like if you get to that, you're screwed anyway. But I also understand that they've had backup quarterbacks come in and do really important drives for them in the middle of a postseason run, and they actually did matter at an incredibly important time. They've had backup quarterbacks matter to them before, so I guess, I don't know. Any veteran will do. Who is it that I was saying a couple of years ago? I was like, yeah, just sign him. He seems fine.
I mean,
it wasn't Oladokin, I don't think. It was some other guy. Some other guy I would have been fine with. The guy who ended up going like Buffalo.
You wanted Bouchel.
Yeah, Shane Bouchel. I thought he could be
the
the
Chiefs like
fine.
veteran backup quarterbacks.
Is Shane still in Buffalo, by the way? I
think
that's where
he
went.
was on their practice squad or roster. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
I believe that is correct. All right, up next, we'll get to what's trending. We'll simplify some of the moves that have happened already. Then we'll get back into what turned out to be a crazy Saturday in the Chiefs world around their wide receiver. That's next.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Kick off the Royal season with 96.5 The Fan at Hollywood Casino. Join us for an exclusive 96.5 The Fan roundtable featuring Michael Massey, Josh Vernier, and other special guests on March 28th at 6 p.m. Don't miss your chance to get insider insights before the season begins.
What's up, guys? It's Drew Nixon. Could you benefit a little extra in the bedroom? We all could. Blue Chew can help. Blue Chew is your secret weapon for the bedroom. Doesn't matter where you decide to get it on, because your partner wants you to do whatever it takes to make your sex life better. Pro athletes train every single day to perform on the field. What if you could improve your performance in the bedroom with no training required? Turn oh no into oh yes with Blue Chew. It'll make you feel fantastic. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. And if you don't like swallowing pills, it's no problem, because Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. They're a performance enhancement for the bedroom. Anytime you want to get it on, it gives you extra confidence to make sure you perform to the best of your ability, just like the athletes that we love so much in Kansas City. If you want a great offer, free sounds great, doesn't it? Go to BlueChew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code KFNZ at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. Again, that's BlueChew.com, promo code KFNZ to receive your first month free. Then you'll be ready to chew it and do it.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
I love saving money, and Hy-Vee is always helping my family fight inflation. Not only has Hy-Vee lowered prices all over the store, they also help me save a ton of money on gas. In fact, multiple times in the last few months, I've saved over $1 per gallon with Hy-Vee fuel savers. I love seeing the price on the pump drop dramatically each time I fill up. This Saturday and Sunday, save 30 cents per gallon on gas with every $60 you spend on groceries. Stack up the savings. The more you spend, the more you'll save on your next fill-up, only at Hy-Vee.
Hy-Vee's new fresh fried donuts are pure melt-in-your-mouth happiness with icing on top. Fresh out of the fryer every morning, you'll fall in love at first bite. Mix and match your favorite glazed donuts, donut holes, fritters, twists, cream-filled Long John, sprinkles, and gourmet delights. Pick up a dozen today. You'll be the hero of the morning meeting, queen of the book club, classroom parent of the year. Sweeten someone's day with decadent fresh fried donuts only from Hy-Vee.
From fast breaks to buzzer beaters to block parties, there's nothing as exciting as basketball. With Underdog, you can bring that excitement to wherever you watch. Playing on their app is as easy as choosing higher or lower on player stats like threes made, points, rebounds, and so much more. I love the Underdog app. So get those selections right, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. It's so much fun. Millions of fans have won over billions on Underdog. Will you be the next? It's simple to join the fun. Join in by signing up for the Underdog app today using promo code BOB, and you'll get a free selection as part of your first cash entry, plus up to 1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of
It's Century Roofing's 35th anniversary, and to celebrate, we're offering a free material upgrade with your roof replacement. Get a free upgrade from standard and premium shingles to impact-resistant shingles. These will boost your home's value and can lower your insurance premiums. Voted best in Johnson County 3 years in a row. We're KC-based and female-owned. Visit CenturyRoofingKC.com.
Century Roofing. Trust the pillars of strength.
Book now. This deal won't last long.
Dawn Sharp and the Sharp Homes team take a unique approach that transforms the typical home selling experience from a mundane process of list and hope into a seamless transaction. Dawn is so confident in her ability to sell your home that she guarantees it will be sold. If your home does not sell by the agreed-upon date, she'll personally buy it. Contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp and the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. Visit them at homesforsaleandkc.com and start packing.
Jake from State Farm. I'm winning. I finally cleaned my house, so I'm breaking out my new tropical room spray.
Keep winning and create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It's like your own personal paradise.
Ooh, hey, grab me a coconut water.
Bundling, just another way to save with a personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Hey, nice job, Pete. I like those clean lines. Fellas, do we have anyone that can get to Greenport today?
At Corey's Landscaping, the staffing plan is in the weeds.
Anthony, we need that leaf blower over here. 3 more new customer requests just came in. Who wants to work some overtime?
He needs to dig up quality landscapers and fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Go to 965thefan.com for the Fiery Hot Sevens contest, where you can win a $30 instant scratch ticket, and one person will win the grand prize, a Bobby Witt Jr. autographed jersey and framing, all thanks to our friends at the Kansas Lottery. Come join us for the Royals Roundtable, plus meet and greet with Michael Massey and Kyle Isbell at Hollywood Casino Friday, March 28th, starting at 6. Your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan, KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
What's Trending, presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. The legal tampering period in the NFL is wide open. We're only an hour into this thing. Multiple signings across the league, starting with the Kansas City Chiefs being active in specifically finding a left tackle for this upcoming season. Multiple reports say the Chiefs are signing Jalen Moore. He is a former 49er. He backed up Trent Williams. He started 7 games for them when Trent Williams was hurt. He comes in at a 2-year deal with about $21 million guaranteed. Overall, it's 2 for $30, and the Chiefs have their left tackle for 2025.
Yeah, we just saw Dan Moore's deal. The other Moore got his deal for the Tennessee Titans. He went for 4 for $82 million.
Ooh.
So we can talk about that deal as it relates to this, too, on the other side.
And the Chiefs did sign veteran running back, according to Jordan Schultz, Elijah Mitchell, 26, soon-to-be 27-year-old running back, did not play all of last year, was on IR. 1 year worth up to $3.8 million.
Next up on What's Trending, Trey Smith did officially sign his franchise tag tender yesterday, so he'll be a member of the Kansas City Chiefs this year, presumably. Very quick on the franchise tag tender They still want to work out a long-term deal. But if you even had the slightest inkling that 4 months from now he's going to be holding out in St. Joe, no. Trey Smith had already signed his tender. He's planning on being a member of the Chiefs.
Elsewhere in the NFL, these are not official signings, but definitely reports and rumors out there around the quarterback market. Latest has the Steelers interested in Aaron Rodgers. Remember, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, all names along with Aaron Rodgers that are still out in the veteran QB market. Could we see one of them signed today? But Aaron Rodgers in play in Pittsburgh after the Steelers went out and traded for DK Metcalf, plus gave him a massive extension over the weekend. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, that would be a hell of a landing spot considering how bad it was in New York that you could end up in Pittsburgh with Mike
Tomlin's the only
Tomlin.
kind of coach who might be able to keep people in check.
Yeah, not going to let him just run the whole thing there, that's for sure.
Next up on What's Trending, Yankees Garrett Cole reportedly needs Tommy John surgery. They're seeking a second opinion, but that's now 2 of their starting pitchers out either the entire season or at least part of it, because obviously they lost their Rookie of the Year last year, Gill, who was out 2 to 3 months during that time. So an entire season and one of their other starters out 2 or 3 months in Gill. And look, he's waiting for a second opinion, but have we once seen somebody get a second opinion on Tommy John that didn't end in Tommy John? It always does.
Right.
So Garrett Cole's done for the year. Huge blow. The Yankees lost Juan Soto. Now don't have 2 of their 5 starting rotation. Talk about a team ready to take a step back. It certainly seems like it's them.
Elsewhere, college basketball conference tournament week in front of us. Big 12 tournament right here in Kansas City begins tomorrow. Kansas State, the 10 seed in the Big 12 tournament, they'll take on 15 seed Arizona State. That's tomorrow night, the game right here on 96.5. The Fan, 6 o'clock tip-off. Elsewhere in the tournament, the Kansas Jayhawks are the 6th seed, I believe it is, in the Big 12 tournament. They will play on Wednesday evening against the winner of, the Utah-UCF game, I believe, is how the bracket lays out for them. SEC tournament, the Missouri Tigers, who are now heading into this thing, losers of 3 in a row, they will play a little bit later on this week, but well off the double bye, obviously, considering how things ended up playing out for them.
Don't forget our Big 12 tournament coverage on 96.5. The Fan is brought to you by KRT Muscle Cream. A body in motion stays in motion with KRT Muscle Cream.
So, NFL free agency underway. Officially, the league year does not start until Wednesday. And for a brief moment this weekend, just for 6 to 8 hours, it looked like maybe their offseason plan was going to have to change a wide receiver. The news, of course, on Saturday morning, everybody woke up to was that Xavier Worthy was arrested on suspicion of assault, domestic violence, and strangulation. Very quickly later on, the case was dismissed.
Like 8 hours?
Yeah, dismissed down in Georgetown, Texas, which is north of Austin. I'm not going to go into the exact details of everything. By now, you guys have read it, or you can find that. The situation, for one, is a reminder of how quickly things can change. It's also a reminder of, unfortunately, in today's day and age with social media, how immediately not only do people rush to, determining guilt on any party involved, but the sad part also is everybody retweets or posts on Facebook or Twitter or whatever platform you're on. In this case, it's a mugshot or it's, arrested for blank, and people post, how terrible a person is or whatever. And then when things are, I'll use air quotes, resolved, because there is still a chance if new evidence were to be presented, maybe, that something could happen again. But nobody goes back and then corrects it. Like, I'm not saying people in Kansas City didn't, but outside of Kansas City, the same people that were, having their jokes in the morning did not go back later on in the day and make sure their same social media following knew that Xavier Worthy was not charged. And that always bugs me. And I'm not saying that clearly something happened, but it looks from the outside, and from what so far and all we know from being on the outside is it looks like obviously something that was claimed to have happened did not happen, it looks like. But none of us know 100%. All I know is he wasn't charged with a crime. And for them people to ignore that really bugs me. Like, if you or I, Cody, were arrested for something and then hours later you were found to have not maybe done that, or at least there wasn't evidence to suggest that you did that or whatever it may be. But your mugshot's still everywhere and people are still not deleting their old posts like that. I just think that's a symptom of just social media. I think it bugs me quite a bit.
I think fandom sometimes, like I told you, like I root for teams to lose. Like, I take joy in your team losing, not in the suffering of people or to make a misidentification. of those? Like, no, there's none of that. I'm not rooting against. And what that turned into instead was, oh, there they are, paying the league off again. And you're like, okay, that's a really gross characterization of it because it moved very quick. He was charged and arrested. They then 8 hours, or not charged, he was arrested under the suspicion. Then 8 hours later was released because they said they didn't have enough to charge. That can come from a lot of different ways. They're saying there was a third person who was a witness there, then maybe that changed it. Could have been a victim retracted statement in this case. We don't know what led to it. But yeah, no longer, like, I have to view this as a net neutral until anything else comes out, or if nothing else comes out, as in this relationship really ended horribly. Obviously, things went south in a hurry, and as a result of that, things escalated in some capacity, either, and they did escalate, obviously, to the point of, all of this stuff happened in kind of a hurry. But yeah, it's like, it feels so weird because, this felt like it was going to be the biggest thing we talked about all day on Monday. And then they sign Hollywood Brown, and that feels like, in a weird way, initially kind of reactionary to, what's taking place. And now nothing's taking place. I'll go into the season assuming he's not going to be suspended. I don't know anything else about the case. I probably will know nothing else about the case. They didn't have enough to charge then. They'll probably never charge,
dismissed, right? It's been dismissed, right?
It's
dismissed. And
that's probably just the end of the story, which feels like a weird way to handle it. And I don't know how often this will linger or whatever. But
on the football end only, let's talk on the football end only. The fact that it got quote unquote resolved as quickly as it did, I think saved the Chiefs quite a bit because there was a chance that you wouldn't have had the clearer picture if you were Kansas City for weeks or days at least, right? Like in a lot of circumstances, this thing would have dragged on through the weekend. It was happening because he was arrested on a Friday night or whatever, Saturday morning, however the timeline played out. The fact that it got resolved so quickly made they didn't have to adjust their offseason plan. Because when it first happens, I know my reaction from a football end was, well, this might change your entire offseason because you won't have the clearer picture. Now, they got the clear picture quick, so we're not sitting here today saying, well, do they need to actually go and should they have signed Chris Godwin or should they have traded for DK Metcalf? Like, those would have been conversations.
Or do they need to sign two veterans instead? Yeah, sure.
But that wasn't the case. And so the Hollywood Brown signing 1 year, $6.8 million up to 11, they were clearly very close to signing him. Did it mean is that why it got done? Like that was the last thing to get it done Saturday versus waiting till today or something? Maybe. Who knows? We'll never really know the answer to that. But it probably played somewhat of a role in that at the time. And so now you hope for on the football end of it as well that you're going to be able to count on said individual and that this was truly just a really awful situation that he was involved in that entire situation.
I obviously want to continue to talk about what the Dan Moore contract specifically means for the Jalen Moore, not to be confused the ones the Chiefs signed. Most recent signing, Carlton Davis to the Patriots per Adam Schefter. 3 years, $60 million. So $20 million per year with each corner who gets signed.
They have the most cap space in the NFL.
But with each signing, I just get a little more sick at whatever the Trent McDuffie number is going to come in so we can get to that either today, tomorrow, whenever. As we come here. But Dan Moore, so there was really a prevailing thought that there were three possibilities for the Chiefs in the free agency market, in the, I'd say, bigger dollar market at left tackle. They are now all three signed. Ronnie Stanley at a 3 year, 66? Or is it 60 flat?
It basically is 2 for 44 is what it comes out to be.
But a 3 year deal worth over $60 million for Ronnie Stanley to remain in Baltimore. Dan Moore just got 4 years for $84 million, so $21 million a year, with over $50 million in guarantees.
$30 million in year one.
And then, they got a cap now. And then Jalen Moore, who is signed with the Chiefs on a 2 year, $30 million deal for $15 million per year. Look, all money created equal, I'd have done Stanley. You didn't have a chance to do Stanley, though, in my opinion. The free agency period wasn't technically open, which gave Baltimore an opportunity to get there and retain their guy before free agency ever hit. So of the two Moores that were remaining, I'll take the 2 for 15 versus the 4 for 80. Or the 2 for 30 versus the 4 for 80. It's just a safer position for two guys I'm not comfortable with, fully, right? I'm not Jalen Moore, we're set for life. It's just it's a safety net now that they have, or at least they have a left tackle who's played it.
Cost-effective option that has some upside is kind of how I look at it. When this news first broke at 11:05 that the Chiefs had signed Jalen Moore to a 2 year deal worth $30 million, we said, hey, there's a chance this deal looks better an hour from now. It took a little bit more than an hour, but here we are. And you laid out the details for Dan Moore Jr., the tackle from Pittsburgh that signed with Tennessee. And I think that's exactly what it makes you feel with the Jalen Moore move, that you feel better about the deal that the Chiefs got done based off of that. And who ultimately is the better left tackle and everything like that, we'll see in the respective spots. I do know if you just look at certain metrics, and you can make a case for both of them, but I love the fact that Jalen Moore, 1 sack in the limited snaps he played. He did not play all year as start like Dan Moore Jr. did, who started at left tackle for the Steelers. So he had an ability to get more exposed than Jalen Moore did because Moore only played 270-something snaps. But only 1 sack, 0 penalties versus 8 penalties for Dan Moore Jr. Smaller sample size, as I acknowledge. But if I was going to take a flyer on somebody that we all acknowledge it's not a great left tackle class, I'd rather do it with a little bit of caution financially, and I think that's what the Chiefs did. To me, they should still draft a left tackle because now your left tackle that you draft is not asked to come in on day one. You and I were anti-drafting left tackle in the first or second round this year because we didn't feel that you were going to be able to get any help.
Left tackle, yeah.
But now that you know you've got one for 2 years, and hell, if Jalen Moore impresses everybody and he's way better than we think after 1 year, I'm sure they can look at an extension after 1 season. Otherwise, it's 2 years, $22 million-ish, right under $22 million guaranteed, and you've got a guy for a couple years while you try to develop still a left tackle of the future, or next year's draft is better at left tackle. But this is who's starting a left tackle in 2025 for this football team. Jalen Moore, former 49er.
Right now, here's what your offensive line would look like. So 913-586-7965. What would you think? What would you think about this offensive line? Because assuming health, this is what it'll be. Jalen Moore, Kingsley, this is left or right. Jalen Moore, Kingsley Suamataia, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Jawan Taylor. Unless they sign a veteran guard, I still think Kingsley has the head start. Could be Caglianone, could be Norzad, I guess, or I don't know, CJ Hansen or some of these other random guards they got on there. But most likely, I believe it will be Kingsley Suamataia unless they sign a different guard.
Yeah,
or draft a different guard.
586-7965. I mean, this text is not wrong. I would just say this was the only outcome for this offseason. Someone from the 816 said, hey, the Chiefs just threw a Band-Aid on a massive wound. Just be honest with the left tackle signing.
I am.
That's exactly what none of us are saying. They have fixed and solved the left tackle problem for the next 5 years. There, in my opinion, was not a long-term left tackle solution in the 2025 offseason. Other than doing something that we didn't get to today on the show because they already made their decision. I was going to come on today, and we had it planned in the rundown, which is to find out if Seattle really is trading away everybody. And I would go look at the left tackle Cross, who's entering the final year of his rookie deal, and I would do a Orlando Brown Jr.-esque trade. That would have been something I would have explored. We have no idea if they ever called the Seahawks. We have no idea if Cross was ever available. That would be the only long-term solution. It would have also required giving a massive extension in a year. It would have been the Orlando Brown Jr. type of trade. But Jalen Moore, considering Ronnie Stanley was off the board, I actually think was the best available option for them
price.
For 2025. It does not mean they should stop exploring long-term options. That's all.
The only thing I kind of do like, the biggest thing to like about Jalen Moore is he's the anti-Jawan Taylor to this point in his career. As in, that man doesn't get penalized. Like, ever. He doesn't get called for holds. He doesn't false start. Jalen Moore, by all accounts, is like the least penalized offensive lineman of all time. Gold, I don't know. It sure seems that way based on just his overall numbers. Both guys do not grade out. Jalen Moore, technically, as you point out, grades out a little bit better than Dan Moore in some areas. Neither guy grades out great. And we'll talk to someone from San Francisco coming up in about 10 minutes. So we'll get a sense of what they do. More often than not, I'll just warn you. More often than not, you're going to see people in San Francisco be like, good riddance. Because that's what everyone in Pittsburgh is going to say about Dan Moore until they got to watch somebody else play left tackle. Just like, in fairness, a lot of Chiefs fans did with Orlando Brown Jr. Good riddance was the overwhelming feeling when Orlando Brown Jr. walked out of the city and was no longer the left tackle. And you don't feel that way now.
Yeah, and look,
you know what bad left tackle play looks like now. Jalen Moore likely offers you competent left tackle play.
And when we're sitting here in October and November, depending on what kind of play they're getting out of left tackle, this move will either be praised or it'll be crushed, right? I mean, if they end up getting same level of left tackle play as they did last year, then this move, of course, will be another misevaluation at left tackle by Brett Veach.
Which would be 3 in a row, 4 in a row?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. As of right this second, in terms of trying to fix the problem that they have created, I think this is your best path
solution
going forward right this second. But yeah, of course, like someone else texted in, like Brett Veach is going to be judged on that. Of course. I mean, every move. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we're sitting here in the middle of next year and they have a massive problem with a left tackle that can't hold up, that was no better than what they just had, of course, I can promise you, everybody will say it wasn't a good signing. I'm just saying that if you were wanting them to go find, a 5-year option at left tackle, I don't think that existed. I gave you the Seattle Seahawks scenario. We don't even know if that tackle was available. We don't even know if the Chiefs were interested in him, but that would be it. No other long-term option. Hell, Ronnie Stanley even, who never hit the open market, I want to be clear. He ended up re-signing with Baltimore. He signed a 3-year deal, but essentially it's 2 for $44. So that was not going to be a long-term option either. The idea that they could just find a 5-year option, well, that only exists in the draft and not in this year's draft if you believe some of the experts.
Now, you can take a guy in the third. You can try to develop him over a year or two. And look, it's the good news about, I think the reason why, specifically why, you take a tackle in the draft this year in the third round specifically, right, with one of those 2 picks is, if he turns into your left tackle, oh my God, great. You hit an absolute home run, grand slam, walk-off winner. If he turns into a right tackle, good. You got a problem there in a year anyway as Jawan Taylor's deal starts to run out. And if he turns into a guard, you also need that. You don't technically have a long-term answer necessarily that is solved there at left guard yet with an unknown of Kingsley. So there's a lot of available options in a third-round guy who can spend an entire year developing. And if for some reason, and like I'll never apologize for this, if for some reason you take your tackle in the left or in the third round, and he's just the goods, Gold. He's the goods immediately, and he beats out Dan Moore, and you're like, why the hell did you pay him? Good.
Right.
I don't think the Seahawks ever regretted paying Matt Flynn if it still led them to Russell Wilson. Like, if you find the guy, you find the guy. I don't think any of this prevents it. You and I are not pretending like the Chiefs' offensive line problems are just like, all good, no problems here.
No, we're saying it's a
better.
success if somehow he's average or above average. That's where the bar is at. That's how bad it's been. Like, 913-586-7965. Look, we're going to all find out whether or not this ends up working, but I disagree with this text. It just says, Kingsley at left tackle with Joe Thuney next to him would have been a better situation. I just fundamentally disagree with that.
I don't agree with that
obviously, also Joe Thuney, we just know is not even on the team anymore. So and they chose Trey Smith over Joe Thuney, so they made their decision. While Kingsley only got 2 games, and I think on another team he would have got more than 2 games. I'm with you, and we would have seen more of him. I just fundamentally disagree with the idea that the Chiefs would have been better off extending Joe Thuney at left guard and then just rolling into this season with no other option but Kingsley at left tackle. I would have been terrified.
Yeah. No, I'm terrified.
And Jalen Moore is a backup left tackle, but he did start 7 games, and I saw more out of him than I saw from Kingsley. And yes, it was only 2 games, but if you want to say, even if you want to take Cody's point a little bit, Jalen Moore and Kingsley can compete in training camp. Fine with me. And if Kingsley shocks all of us and has an unbelievable offseason, great problem to have.
Then you spend $15 million still this year to try to solve your left tackle problem, which does not seem like a high price to pay. I just didn't want to pay Dan Moore $82 million. I was interested in Stanley. Stanley would have been the one I've done other than the trade, remember, and we couldn't even find that. We were only predicting, like you said, the Seattle guy because it seemed like they were cleaning house.
Yeah.
Maybe they just felt like cleaning house even more. And he's not been traded to anyone else. And there's plenty of other teams who desperately want a left tackle, which we know based on the amount of money Dan Moore got. That's the other part. The market specific to this is where you got to kind of know. There were not many good left tackle options available in the free agency market. It's pricey, but, there are much worse ways to do it. The Elijah Mitchell deal, I don't mind that. 1 year, $3.5 million.
Yeah,
this is the Samaj P. Ryan thing. All right, congratulations.
Well, also it's a guy that was on IR all year, so you're just
fresh legs.
You're saying a guy that showed some explosiveness a couple years ago, but his best year was when he was a rookie, which was in 2021. See if you got something still in him, and it's a small deal. Still, to me, should not prevent them or discourage them from drafting explosive back in the middle of the draft in April. If you wanted them to be more aggressive in the veteran running back market, I did not. But if you did, well, Aaron Jones never hit the market. It was a terrible free agent class of running backs this year. Aaron Jones was clearly going to be the best option. He re-signed with Minnesota. So whether or not they had real interest in Aaron Jones, I do not know. All I know is he was never available. The Vikings signed him yesterday.
Yeah, and that's the theme of the entire free agency period is seemingly 85% of the guys you wanted just went back to their teams. I don't care if it's Chris Godwin because you wanted a wide receiver, he's a Buck. I don't care if it's Trey Smith you wanted, he's a Chief. I don't care if it's T. Higgins, he's a Bengal. Doesn't matter which player you wanted, unless the team was out like Devontae Adams with the Jets, those guys didn't hit the streets. Mostly for this part, the top free agents ended up back with their teams. And I think it's because of the increase in the cap and that they could essentially pay what was fair-ish market value for those guys, more money maybe than they thought they were going to get a couple of years ago from these same teams. And why displace your entire life in order to move? A lot of those guys stayed home instead. Not all, right? Carlton Davis signed 3 years for $60 million to become a Patriot. And Harold Landry, who was also just like, and that's not a good example because they didn't want him back. And so there's a lot of the guys who were free agents but had not been cut by their teams ended up back with their teams. The guys who just became natural free agents.
Coming up next, let's talk more about Jalen Moore, the newest Chief on a 2-year deal. He'll be their left tackle in 2025. Maybe someone that can give us some more insight on what the Chiefs are getting. We're going to head out to the Bay Area next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Josh Vernier joins the show every day at 12:45, live from spring training, right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5, The Fan.
This week, FanDuel's bringing you a Dog of the Day Profit Boost token. One of the best parts about the tourney is when an underdog takes down a powerhouse, and right now, those upsets can get even better because if your underdog bet wins, you'll land even more winnings with a profit boost. This is your chance to ride with the long shots, the scrappy teams, the ones that refuse to go quietly, and if you've been waiting to join FanDuel, there's no better time. The app is easy to use, and when you win, you'll get paid instantly. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex to download America's #1 sportsbook today and back your Dog of the Day with a profit boost. Because after all, anything can happen in March. FanDuel is the official partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Wager of at least plus 100 odds required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Honey, it's me, your wife. Spring is here, and our house desperately needs the experts at Powell Exteriors Casey for siding, windows, entry doors, beautiful decks, patio covers, roofs, and more. Get ready for summer at powellcasey.com.
A body in motion stays in motion until you feel that muscle tighten. KRT helps you get back in action with all natural pain relief in just minutes. Learn more at krtrelief.com.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast,